Very small.
And then keep moving, don't dwell.
We have to do one every 10 minutes.
It's the important.
It's pretty on
I got a chin spot. Right. Well, you should be able to get it out, right? I hope.
I was getting it's my thing on sitting up there.
Yeah. Mutual friend.
26. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kenny said.
With all that.
Yeah.
We never really looked at self-disturbing advisory here for me.
Long time.
For our.
We're ready for the start, but I remember saying. So.
Please ready to raise it.
Whenever
you're ready, Cal.
We're officially.
This is the call to order. This is the German Village Commission meeting hearing. It is June 26, 2023. It is 12:04 p.m. We're here at 111 Front Street, second floor, room 204. The next hearing will be Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 at 4 p.m. here at 111 Front Street, second floor, room 204. Go ahead and we'll swear in staff. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
And please state your name for the record.
Nicole Erson.
Thank you.
And Morgan Graff. I'm still.
We'll move on to the commissioners who are present, starting on my left.
Ned Field.
Anthony Hartke, Chair.
Aaron McCoy. Lisa Durst.
Brett Foley. Are there any items for public forum? No items for the forum. Moving on to the approval of staff approvals. Staff approval begin on page. Page 11 of your agendas.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself from 630 South Fifth Street. And I got a question for HPO staff. 838 City Park Avenue. They've removed the porch resting, which I don't think had anything to do with their application, it's strictly painting. I just want to bring that to your attention.
We can look into that.
I'll make a note in.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I just want to bring that up.
Any other recusals?
Architect still owes me money. Got a grounds for recusal?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think that probably is, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see how that might.
Color you're thinking.
All right, hearing none others.
It's GV 23-06003, 241 Alexander Alley.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if there are no other ones, I move to ratify the staff approvals.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, the motion passes. And moving on to the approval of minutes from the previous meeting from May 3rd, 2023.
Mr. Chairman, I still move to approve the minutes.
Second. A second down there. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, the motion passes. Moving on to the applications for certificates of appropriateness. Item 1, GV-23-06-022, 311 Columbus Street.
Mr. Chair, if I could, just for a moment, I am up against the 3:30 hard stop because of the nature of the meeting, so I'd ask that we try to be as expeditious as possible today.
Understood. Thank you. All right, applicant, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Danielle McCullen.
Thank you.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is an exterior building alteration, the cap front stairs. To remove concrete from existing steps, approximately 1/4 inch from one step and 1.75 inches from the top step to meet code at 8 inches. to install 2.25 inches of natural Indiana buff limestone, solid step tread at 70 inches long by 13 inches deep, and install a thin veneer brick to all exposed vertical elevations of concrete, including returns, with the veneer brick to be the Belden Bellcrest 730. At the June business meeting, the commission, staff analysis. At the June business meeting, the commission requested an elevation drawing or an overhead plan for the steps and for the applicant to verify the size of the steps and the size of the overhang. The staff recommendation, the staff recommends approval with any all clarifications be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of the certificate. And the basis for the recommendation is 311613 standards for site improvements A.
Anything else to add?
No.
Any questions, commission?
I'm missing something. What's the height of the top riser then? At the end
Um,
when it's all done.
Regarding step code, riser elevations can be within 3/8 of an inch of each other, with the exception of a step to a deck or porch or stoop. It's going to be almost 8 inches, just a bit shy.
So if the top step is 8 inches, then we're moving 1.7 less. Wouldn't that make it taller?
You're replacing it with 2 1/4
Something
inches.
else, okay.
So this is not typical construction for the village. It's either wood or limestone. Really, the case is all brick. This is a combination of a limestone tread, which is not full depth. It's 2 inches, 2 1/4 inches. And the fascia or the risers is all done in brick inset.
It's also in the rear yard. Yeah, I was gonna see, that was my last line, is it rear?
Okay,
No, it's front yard.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
concrete's been in since the 50s. It's not level, it's not square, it's unsightly.
So my suggestion would be, these are not original historic material, you gotta replace them in kind. Replace it with appropriate wood construction, replace it with lime construction, or appropriate tread rising for ratio code.
My company is in the habit of tearing out steps, excavating for steps, as you can see in the other properties there, and building them from full masonry, but I don't understand why I need to completely remove solid concrete.
I'm just saying what you're proposing is a limestone tread with a riser, which is not German village architecture.
There's an example of one I've done in the village, and I have multiple examples.
Probably in the backyard and probably, I don't.
On Mohawk Street, 883 Mohawk is on there somewhere. Sandstone risers, brick steps,
Backyard.
front yard. That one is the backyard. And I don't mean to get, I have lots of photographs of the village, historic village.
I'm expressing
of
my
brick
opinion
and
of what I
stuff.
believe about this application.
There's multiple scenarios in the
I am
village of
expressing what I
sandstone.
believe about this application.
Right, I'm saying there's lots of them.
Probably wouldn't agree with them being compliant either.
Anything would be better than painted concrete.
Didn't say I disagree with that.
Is there, the standards address it?
I don't believe the standard address. Take a look real quick.
I know typically we see the all limestone, all brick, typically.
Oops.
Nicole, do you have the email I sent to you regarding the property on Mohawk?
When was the email?
Probably after the last meeting was canceled.
I've included all the photos you submitted, but I haven't included any of the emails.
Well, while Anthony's looking for this, the challenge we have sometimes with things that exist, they may or may not have been approved. They may or may not, they may have been approved, through a previous commission that had previous understandings and reviews, but what I'm asking everybody to do is look at the standards to see if there's any guidance. for it.
I understand that, and I understand that the village doesn't go around, the commission doesn't drive through the village, finding out who's doing permitted work and who's not. But when you see multiple properties, on prestigious properties on Mohawk and that have this application performed, I don't understand why my client that falls in love with something they're seeing around the corner from their house can't have it. No.
Well, I'm not sure if they can or can't. And what I've
I
asked.
mean, this has been carrying on for 4 months now.
I've asked Anthony to look to see if we have guidance in the guidelines. I know it is atypical from what we see in applications. There is a process for projects that have been done without our approved. There's a 311 process where you call, that's complaint based.
We've used it.
Yeah. But I'm trying to figure out what standards to say to help guide me on whether or not I think it's appropriate. Because if the standards don't say anything, you have to think about it from a history standpoint. And I haven't given my opinion about it yet. I'm just trying to walk you through where we are.
I understand you have to follow the black and white, but this is kind of a common sense thing for me.
The one issue, though, if you use the existing concrete steps as your base and add the limestone and the brick veneer, you're going to end up with roughly 2 8-inch steps and one that is 6-inch. And that,
Maybe the math isn't perfect on this, but they will be too.
yeah, where if you went to new construction, you could make them all equal, which is a much safer
We will make them.
condition.
So to your point, the guidelines, recommendation number 1, porch stoops, whether original or later addition should be preserved in their historic forms. Exterior, they should be repaired to the original condition. 2 doesn't really apply because the door's not being closed off. 3, most porches similar design. This is about porches and spindles. That doesn't apply. 4, handrails doesn't apply. 5, avoid brick as material for porch bases, steps, or stoops because brick used in this way breaks with the visual continuity of the light colored stone foundation. Instead, using light colored stone or construct these features out of concrete with a color similar to that of level stone. And 6, portions and stoops should be placed below the water table, describing foundation. Piers don't apply, roofs don't apply.
So nothing particularly, I guess, I can think of as we went through that.
The only thing-
Except for the material color change.
There is no exposed stone foundation on this property.
So if the brick veneer was swapped out with the stone veneer, and then it was more one color,
Mhm.
that looked better. Wouldn't have the.
That would be what it said.
It would be in keeping with
Well,
the
actually, but what if you just read?
For 4,
If-
porch bases, steps, or stoops.
Connecting to a stone foundation.
Yeah.
Need to maintain the stone foundation's color. As I mentioned, there isn't one.
Doesn't need a roof either.
But there is brick paver walkway, there's brick pavers in their courtyard, which are concrete. They plan to change to real brick in the next phase of this project. So the correlation of the running riser brick falls in suit with the replacement of those pavers in the future.
It doesn't agree with the guideline though, that says the riser and the tread should be of the same color. So you've got a dark brick.
If you could reread number 5, I believe it said the brick shouldn't be a different color than the stone.
5 face, so avoid brick as material for porch bases, steps, or stoops, because brick is used in this way, breaks the visual continuity of light colored stone foundation. Instead, use light colored stone or construct these features out of concrete with a color similar to that of the local stone.
So there is no stone to match. So there's no reason that brick shouldn't be available.
Well, that could also imply that the concrete is a substitute for stone.
Mhm.
And that having brick applied to the concrete then kind of wrecks the illusion of it being a substitute.
I'm on the applicant side of the conversation myself personally. I remember approving at least 1, if not 2 of the previously.
Have been approved. That was my next question.
Yeah, that,
Yeah, there was one on Sycamore that we didn't approve. For the big set, because they were doing the same thing. So pick your choice.
yeah.
And I don't find it particularly actionable, I'm just trying to find guidance.
Mhm.
Myself.
Again, the reason for the brick risers is to match the brick courtyard, which will match the brick sidewalk. So in that regard, everything does flow and match.
Except you got a wood porch.
Yeah.
Does the porch seem to be original?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for future reference, there's, the mansion on Mohawk with limestone, rails with a wrought iron gate that goes through it, and limestone curbs. That is the future of this property, but this is the first step.
For wood frame house.
They chose it because of the interior, not the outside,
And we look at the outside.
and they're planning on working on that.
I think that's part of the consideration for this application.
They'll be replacing like for like, the wood is not.
So it sounds like we have one vocal objection. That don't seem too objectionable. Curious how Carissa,
Kind of way.
yeah.
I feel like the brick riser comes from nowhere if it were on a brick house. But you have a wood frame house, and I can see adding limestone steps if they're all limestone. I would rather see the riser and the tread be the same material.
They said, the concrete. I could deal better with it, it's just the concrete.
By the time they cut that away, I think you're gonna.
If you scroll down, there's an exact replica of what will happen after this work is done.
Kind of a little bit off the bottom step, taking a little bit more off top step.
Yeah, I get,
You make space for a 2 1/4 solid mass.
I get all that, but the thing that strikes me as being odd is the fact that there's brick on the riser, there's no brick on the home. I get that you're going to put a brick sidewalk in, but it's still,
If they choose to let me wrap that brick porch in block and put more brick there, that's up to them. Right now, this is the first step of making the front of their house look more appealing.
Yeah, to me, the only thing that weird to me is like it's brick riser, and then wood.
Mhm,
It's the
Yeah.
top steps.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of materials there.
We can vote. See where it falls. We can take it back to the homeowner and decide what they want to do. It's up to you to ask us which. you
Yeah,
prefer
I mean, this has always been their goal. I remodeled their kitchen, went through all of your facets and everything last year. So then taking, actually the whole downstairs, taking that remodel and moving it into the front of the house was always their anticipation. And, this has been going on because I thought steps were staff approval for 4 months now. With the cancellation of the last meeting, thank goodness I haven't ordered any materials for this project that's been approved by my clients for the last 5 months. But, it just doesn't make sense to me that a goal that they've always had since they brought this property can be shut down right now when, properties on their street are under construction without permits. And it's making me a little bit crazy to go through this process 4 steps when a pool next door gets approved in the first go, staff approval, a house that's under a complete tear out construction,
There's never been a pool that's been staff approved, that's not an element that we staff.
first month then. We're going on 4 months.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, we do not staff approve pools, and we do staff approve steps if it's in like kind, or if it is the original fabric that was there that is in place. But if it's
Restoration.
alteration and change.
I understand.
So it's just something.
And it's an improvement, in my opinion, but, continuity of the materials will flow after the courtyard's done, after the curbs and the railing is done.
Which still have to come in front of this commission.
I already have the application,
Good. So
waiting
this is
to
the
be
first
submitted.
step.
Well, if you'd like us to vote, I can make a motion to vote. We can see where it lands. So
That came too, so.
what's that?
Yep, whichever one of us will.
Go ahead, Ed, if you want.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, item 01GV 2306022 311 Columbus Street, I move to approve as submitted.
Thank you.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Hi.
3-2.
3-2.
So, 3-4, the motion passes.
And I would encourage you to call the development department and ask us to get more chairs. Because one of the reasons we didn't meet last month is because we're down people and we didn't have a forum.
I understand. It's a difficult job you do.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for your time.
Moving ahead to item number 2. GV-23-06-023, 742 South Fifth Street. Can you please raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Tyler Mason.
Thank you.
This is a request for action for landscaping for a sidewalk replacement. To remove any and all damaged and deteriorated concrete, public and service sidewalks and dispose of all debris in accordance with Columbus City Code. And to lay brick sidewalk pavers along the north property line. The relayed bricks to match the existing brick pattern and I did not amend the bond pattern from last time, so I apologize for that, but. Bricks to be antique salt glazed bullseye Nelsonville, Ohio bricks to match existing. And pavers to be dry laid on top of a 4 to 6 inch base of 411 gravel, then 1 inch of limestone grit sand. Staff analysis: at the June business meeting, the commission requested information on where the applicant will source the brick. And the applicant responded that the bricks were salvaged from a home in Marietta, Ohio. The bricks have been salvaged and are on site at 742 South Fifth Street. Staff recommendation: the staff recommends approval with any all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of a certificate. And the basis for that recommendation is 311613 standards for site improvements A, and the Durban Village guidelines for walks, sidewalks, driveways, patios, and parking lots 1.
Anything else to add? All right, questions, comments from the commission?
Just comment that I think these are actually Haydenville bricks, not Nelsonville bricks. What, I think the bullseyes were Haydenville. They're really cool.
Yeah.
They're, the technology was patented in Ohio, and these are all over the world. They're really cool. They both Nelsonville.
And they're all over the neighborhood too.
Yeah. I made a little patio with this.
That's one question for the commission. Putting in, typically we use red brick pavers. This is more decorative, historic. That was maybe not been the original location where they're proposing it. If this is approved, is the case for approval, the fact that we're matching elsewhere on the property as opposed to putting in new, or is this something that we approve across the board on any application?
I don't know about any application. I think it's applicable here because it's a continuation of what's already in front and also the house across the street.
Yeah.
There's 2 of those.
And they were likely time appropriate as
I
well.
just want to make sure we have justification, that's all.
Mr. Chairman, on item 2, GV 230623, 742 South Fifth Street, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, the motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving ahead to item number 3. DV-23-06-024, 243 East Livingston. And once you're settled, if you please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Andrew Rhoda.
Thank you.
This is a request for action of the variance recommendation. And for 3356.03C4 permitted uses to allow for residential use. Staff analysis is first, I added photos this morning, so they're not on your Kindles, and I do apologize for that. They're on the screen now. There was no COA on file for converting the structure from residential to commercial use, and the building is currently used as a commercial property. At the June business meeting, the commission asked if a parking variance would be needed and if there were any other variances needed for the property. And the applicant provided that there were 2 off-street parking spaces behind the building and no other variances would be needed. Staff recommends the commission recommend the application as submitted. The basis for staff recommendation is 311613 standards for site improvement A, and the Durban Village guidelines for zoning variances, page 139.
Anything else to add?
I don't believe so. Do you need to know the structure and makeup of the interior of the building or anything?
No. Unless there's more than one dwelling unit inside.
There's not.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the commission?
My only comment would be, if you're going to go for a building permit, there may be other zoning variances you'll need to bring the building into compliance with existing conditions.
If we do like exterior modifications or also interior,
Building,
just so I know. Sorry?
Village limit,
It's the change of use.
Okay.
Trigger, yeah.
Okay.
which means you'll be back here.
Alright.
Which
They may tell you.
we usually grant those without that issue. I'm just giving you a heads up. Mr. Chairman, item GV 2306-024, 243 East Livingston Avenue. I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? I'll make clarification for the record that typically the properties along Livingston are C4, which don't allow residential on the first floor, even though historically most of the properties along there are residential properties, so. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, moving ahead to item number 4, GV-23-06-025, 595 South Third Street. Once you're both settled, will you please raise your right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please name your name.
Valentine Catapano.
Randy Roberti, Cameron McCall.
Thank you.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is an exterior building alteration for changes to approved design and light fixtures. And this is to remove hanging lights from the tree. The lights were approved as GB 2210 or -10-26 because the new tree was approved as GB 2304-17 cannot support proposed light fixtures. To relamp the existing light fixtures on the building and rewire existing exposed exterior conduit on the building interior through masonry joints, and the landscaping is revisions to planting beds on the patio and entry for submitted landscaping plan. Staff analysis is that a tree was approved for removal following guidance from HPO as GV 23-04-008, and a new tree was approved as the replacement tree for GV 23-04-017. With the approval of GV 23-04-017, the applicant confirmed that no changes to design would occur. The applicant now shows removal of hanging lights due to the replacement tree. At the June business meeting, the commission asked the applicant what the light spread would be from the light fixtures that are being rewired and requested close-up photos of the light fixtures. The applicant provided new material showing photos of the lights and the proposed light spread. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends approval with any and all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of the certificate with the following conditions. And that's just the condition being the applicant confirms no new light fixtures are proposed for the building. And the basis for the staff recommendation is 311613, standards for site improvements A. And the Durban Village Guidelines, exterior considerations for site lighting, street furniture, pools, fountains, and gazebos, 1, 2, and 3.
Anything else to add?
No.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Got questions about the two light fixtures on the front of the building, east side, the existing ones. I cannot remember those ever being eliminated.
Yeah, they no longer function.
Yeah, so I can't remember what the pattern is, but you're doing 25 degrees.
We are.
Yeah.
Can you pitch that down so it's not covering as much of the sidewalk, et cetera? Down to like a
Building.
15
Yeah.
and shrouded?
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
thinking.
we wanna keep it on the building facade, so.
Yeah, so to get it down in this building facade would be the idea with a shroud or something to do that and cut the eye glare. Strictly aesthetics with you guys on this?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. That's my only concern.
Yeah, the goal is just to accent the facade.
That's what I figured, but I think a 25-degree spread's gonna
Yeah.
hit the curb and go out. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, if you can knock it down and wash the front of the building with it, that would be what I would recommend.
Any other questions or comments?
But just for clarity, we're willing to amend the application as suggested.
So what, and just angle it down a little bit more?
Head towards the building, I don't want to, it should
Yeah, however.
clarify how we'll put on the record that it's.
Yeah, I'd just say that it's washing the building at the top of the awnings
Yeah.
and minimizing any impact on
Yeah.
the sidewalk.
Goal is to wash the building, not to wash the sign.
That's what I figured.
Can we just confirm via email and then that just stays on the record, or do we need to resubmit anything for that?
Just say that I will make the motion to modify your thing because you agreed to do it that way.
Yeah, that's great.
And that'll be written in the COA of that note and clarification of what commission is.
Thanks. There are no comments. Mr.
What's the
Chairman,
landscaping part of it?
Oh. sorry.
What's that?
What's the landscaping? part?
It's what was previously approved. The only other part of this submission was removal of the giant 2-foot diameter lights that were floating in the 100-year-old tree, which that obviously can't be there anymore.
So what is the replacement for that tree?
It's already in place out there. If you drive by, we got like a 20-foot tree. It's pretty sizable.
That was approved.
That came through.
Yeah.
So the revisions to planting beds on the patio is just no lights in the tree?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that part of this?
We, so the planting beds are still in the same locations as previous, but we were gonna do a small brick retaining wall. Now will all just be flush with the adjacent pavers. So they're just the planting beds along the entryway. Those were previously approved. It's the ones to the left of the semicircle along the entry as you walk in. So same,
Side there.
The entry alley, if you will.
thank you. Yeah, same location as previous. We just made a very minor tweak.
So they won't sit on the curb, they'll sit on the papers, is that what Eric?
Correct. Sunk into the pavers.
Good. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, on item 04, GV 2306-25, 595 South Third Street. Move to approve as amended by the applicants that the light fixtures on the east elevation will be strictly wall wash and top of the awnings by cranking down and shrouding the existing fixtures.
Is there a second? Second. Any question on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good visit, that's all.
Good open someday.
All right, moving ahead to item number 5, GV-23-06-026, 157 East Deschler. Yeah, if you please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
Josh Wood.
Thank you.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is landscaping for a fence to remove an existing dog-eared fence on the west side of the property and build a new fence to match the fence on the east side of the property. The post to be 6 by 6 inches and fencing slats and framing to be cedar. The staff analysis is at the June business meeting. The commission asked why 6 by 6 posts were proposed, and the applicant provided this would match the posts on the fence on the other side of the yard. And I mentioned this at the business meeting, but it's on the agenda because of the proposed kind of swoop on the fence design. And the staff recommendation, and the staff recommends approval with any and all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of the certificate with the following conditions. And the staff recommended condition is that applicant should paint the fence or stain with an opaque stain, and the paint color to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of certificate. The basis for staff recommendation is 311613 standard for site improvements A, and Durban Village guidelines for fences and walls 2 and 3. And for site lighting, street furniture, pools, fountains, and gazebo. Oh, that's the other application. I apologize. My pages are front back over here.
Good.
And sorry, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for fences and walls.
Anything else to add? Questions, comments from the commission? Before we do, I'll make a note that made this meeting, it's a shadow box fence, not a dog food fence that they're replacing.
Just because there's not a plan, the south fence is the one in the back alley or the side?
What's the question?
The south fence and the west fence, which is which?
The west is the side. Nothing's
That's
happening.
the south.
Nothing's happening at present to the south fence.
Okay, that's just what the south fence is, so that I see.
There's a previously approved carriage house that has long since expired, and at some point we will be back with the carriage house.
But it's the south existing fence that's shown on these elevations then.
You're seeing the south and the west fence. It's the west fence that will be replaced. The south fence, we will be back in the near-ish future.
And the only reason I asked is that the elevation sheet, there is a representation of the south fence.
That was the drawing for the fence that's built between this property and the property to the east.
Just for clarity, it's the west fence that is the south.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
And the swoop is the transition height.
Just to a brick wall that's, yes, closer.
To the gate.
Yes, that's all. It's for clarity, thank you.
Request by HBO staff to paint the fence.
I'm sorry?
The request by HBO to paint the fence, is that I get it, not part of your application at this point.
I'm sure, I'm 100% sure the homeowner will want it painted to match what's on the other side.
Just amend your application that way.
That would be okay, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, on item OVGV 2306-026, 157 East Deschler Avenue, I move to approve as submitted with the amendment that the fence will be painted and color samples, whatever will be submitted to HBO.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Ayes have, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 6, GV-23-06-027, 835 City Park. If you please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth?
Yes,
Please state your name for the record.
Jan Park.
Thank you.
This is a request for action. It's for landscaping to remove a tree, to remove an existing dying spruce tree from the backyard, and to plant a new slender Hinoki cypress tree on the north side of the property. The staff analysis is at the June business meeting. The commission asked what type of spruce would be planted, and for the applicant to provide a landscape sketch showing the existing and proposed tree locations. The commission asked how the tree will impact the house. The applicant responded and said they would rather plant a tree on the north side of the property rather than the south, as the south side is very close to the neighbor's house. The area is identified in a photo in the materials packet. It's, yes, thank you. The location is away from the north neighbor's house, and the applicant provided they would prefer to plant a slender Hinoki cypress tree rather than a spruce tree. It is a narrow, upright, growing evergreen. It will grow in a pyramidal shape with open branches for a textured look. It grows to mature height of around 8 to 12 feet and a width of 4 to 5 feet. The staff recommendation is that the staff recommends approval with any all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of certificate with the following condition. And the condition being the applicant submit a site plan indicating the new location of the tree. The basis for the staff recommendation is 3011613, standard for site improvements A.
Anything else to add?
No,
Questions, comments from the commission?
I think it's an appropriate tree selection, slow growing and appropriate size for the space.
Just cut one of these down in my front yard, they're actually the same. Happens to these. Okay.
There are no other comments or questions. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, on OC 06 GV 2306-027, 835 City Park Avenue, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have, it, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 7, GV-22-09-019, 877 South 3rd Street. Any applicants? Oh, here we go. If you please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, not the truth.
Yes, I do.
And please stand for the record.
Lynn Henshaw.
Thank you.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is for exterior alterations proposing to replace the existing ribbon slate roof with an improved shingle. It's the GAF slate line English gray, to install metal ridge roll in either Tenner's red or gray, and the roof has had past repairs as stated by applicant. The slate assessment has been provided and a second assessment has now been provided this year to be placed on this agenda. The following is from the approved September 2022 GBC hearing minutes. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Thiel stated that the report submitted indicates that the underlayment is the cause of the leaking roof, but stated that the underlayment would not be justification for a full slate removal since it is existing condition. Commissioners asked if the applicant to clarify if the condition assessment was from a separate company, and applicant verified that he is not a part of the company that did the assessment. Commissioners agreed that they did not have enough documentation and would need additional documentation to finalize their review to see the additional evidence of where the water is coming from. Commissioner Harkey asked the applicant if there was an access to the attic, and the applicant stated there was a panel in the ceiling to access. Commissioner Harkey recommended the applicant explore the attic to see if there's evidence of damage or where the water may be coming through and to know where it relates to the areas. Commissioners asked to clarify the asphalt shingle selection. Applicant responded stating that they would be selecting GAF slate line English gray slate in lieu of the antique slate. Applicant stated they will be choosing the English gray slate if approved for approval. Commissioner Durst asked if the chimney flashing has been updated and flashing was embedded in the mortar. Applicant stated that yes, the flashing had been updated and was installed via mortar joints. The chimney has been sealed and maintained. Commissioners recommended obtaining an additional assessment from another slate company. At the June 2023 business meeting, the commission asked if the underlayment would be installed and if that would impact the profile of the roof and emphasize metal roof roll would be required. The applicant responded saying they intended to replace ice guard on all eaves and synthetic felt from the rest of the roof. Applicant said that it would not impact the profile of the roof. They have always intended to put back metal ridge roll on the opposite ridges. The staff recommendation is the staff recommends that the commission offer feedback and continue the application to further evaluate the condition of the existing slate. The basis for the recommendation is 311611 standards for alteration 6.5 and 11, and the German Village guidelines, the 2005 amendments for slate roof replacements, page 175.
Anything else to add?
No, not at this time.
Yeah, questions, comments from the commission?
I think in the past when it was ribbon slate, it's always.
Yeah, I think we got the two slate assessments, is what we typically ask for. So,
Pictures in the red were pretty helpful too.
Yeah.
I really like the raw source image. That was nice. The image about the.
Oh.
The geometry.
You're coming back with roof sheeting, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's a spaceport, and I think we have to.
Oh, okay, yeah, because there is no sheeting right now.
Right.
So you have vetted nail base, right? Or it'll be, are you gonna vet it through the attic or are you gonna vet it in the sheathing?
We'll probably bend it the bridge
Got it. So it's
with the bridge roll
through the attic.
under a trunk. Yeah. We can incorporate that in.
good. There's no questions or comments, is there a motion?
We're on a roll. 07 GV 2209009, 877 South Third Street. I move to approve the certificate.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 8, GB-23-05-028, which is 30 Columbus Street, 40 Columbus Street, and 762 Pearl Street. Once you're all settled, if you would raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Kevin Parzak, Guns and Architecture Interiors.
Thank you very much.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description includes a lot combination and exterior building alteration. The lot combination is to combine 3 adjacent parcels, 30 and 40 Columbus and 762 Pearl Street in zoned R2F residential district. The proposed use is 3 residential units. There's also a variance recommendation involved. It's 3332.14 R2F residential district. Permit 1 building with 3 dwelling units on the parcel. 3332.18 basis of computing area to increase the lot coverage from 50 to 58%. 3332.19 fronting to permit 3 dwelling units on 1 parcel without street frontage. 3332.26 minimum side yard required to reduce the north side yard from 5 feet to 1 foot and the east side yard from 5 feet to 1 foot. And 3332.27 rear yard to reduce their rear yard from 25% of the lot area behind each building to existing rear yard of 0% as depicted on the site plan. The exterior building alteration is for 30 Columbus Street. There's a new shed dormer on the north and south side. Measurements to be 18 feet by 8 feet 1 inch. Dormers to have windows from the approved window list. Siding to be horizontal fiber cement siding. Standing seam metal roof on the dormer. For 40 Columbus, they'll repair and refinish existing metal windows. For 40 Columbus, install a new door on the west elevation. The door to be an aluminum clad wood double door with transom above to match the adjacent masonry openings, and the openings were back-room windows. And on 762 Pearl Street, to install a new stair access to a new rooftop deck. To install a 6-foot tall privacy wall around the roof deck patio on the north elevation of the rooftop patio. Patio material to be a spire, interlocking paver, pedestrian grade. Install a 3-foot 6-inch railing with top rail above patio pavers on north and west sides of the rooftop patio. Windows from the approved list and full light aluminum clad wood door to be installed at the rooftop access penthouse. The shingles will be from the approved shingle list. The siding to be horizontal fiber cement siding. Also at 762 Pearl Street to install new windows on each side of the existing door on the south facade, and the windows to be from the approved window list. Staff analysis, the following is taken from the now approved May 3rd, 2023 GVC minutes. Commissioner comments. The commission commented that because the staff has found the windows to be in repairable condition, the commission would encourage repairing the windows and might not support replacement. More documentation would be required for replacement to be considered. The commissioners questioned the decision for a door rather than a window on 40 East Columbus Street and discussed the evidence of an opening at that location. A window seems to be a more appropriate choice for that opening. There is evidence of the fourth opening having existed or had been planned. The commission suggested bringing back the original masonry opening, and a window or door that matches the size of the masonry opening would be appropriate for that location. For the rooftop of 762 Pearl Street, some commissioners felt that there should be changes to the rooftop design, such as a pergola cover, changes to the stair, or changes to the doghouse. Some commissioners felt that it would not be visible. Some commissioners expressed concern over the length of the dormers on 30 East Columbus Street, but some thought the dormer length should be considered with the length of the roof ridge, and then it would be the correct size. The doors and windows are an outstanding issue to be resolved, and the commission would like to see new drawings showing the changes to the door window on 40 East Columbus Street. And just for staff found that the windows at 40 East Columbus Street were in repairable condition on site visit in May of 2023. The Google Street View shows there were shutters in the windows from at least 2007 to 2020, but there is no COA for the removal of the shutters. Staff has provided Sanborn map showing the location of 1891, 1921, and 1961. The buildings at 30 East and 40 East Columbus have appeared to have been built prior to 1921, and the building at 762 Pearl Street was constructed prior to 1961. At the June business meeting, the commission asked for manufacturer information for the fiber cement siding, asked for the height of the fence in the southeast corner, at the south and southeast corner, and told the applicant prepared to discuss the style of the door for the proposed double door. The applicant provided some siding information and a new sketch of Pearl Street roof that states the height of the walls and fence on all sides. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends approval with any all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of certificate. The basis for staff recommendation is 311611 standards for alteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, and 10. 311613 standards for site improvements A. German Village guidelines for windows 1. German Village guidelines dormers and skylights 2 and 3. German Village guidelines for massing for roof shapes elements 6. And German Village guidelines for massing for rhythm of building openings, page 107.
Anything else to add?
Happy to discuss the double door and transom at 40 Columbus. The intent with the style of door and the transom without any divided lights was to differentiate the door and transom from the existing factory windows. Since the bricked-in opening had been there for some time, we wanted to not create a false sense of history with new materials. So that's why we are not proposing any divided lights glazing. That's all I have to add.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Just say that I'm happy to see that you're restoring the windows. I think the move on the doghouse is helpful because you're now using the doghouse to screen it from the neighbors, which I think is good. The one question I had, the siding material, staff's comments was what material was. I want to make sure it's of a type that we allow on main houses. I know we have allowed hardy plank on main houses before.
I don't believe we've listed hardy. I'm trying to read the specs. It's like LP.
That's what we like, right? Is that, if I remember that correct?
Oral's typically been approved in the past.
Yeah.
The LP siding.
And I believe
looked at
that's
that.
the true exterior product, actually.
And that's come to us a couple times.
True exterior Craftsman collection.
We approved that, or is that on the?
There's a couple of test cases for LP smart siding.
Okay.
I believe there's 2 currently still active for LP smart siding.
How long those have been active?
Good question. Not sure. I know one was more recent than the other of just last year. I'm not sure when exactly. But recent.
Yeah. 3 is kind of our magic number, right? We try to hit.
So I don't think we have, that's what we discussed at previous hearings, that we would at least have 3 allowable test cases for LP, or for LP smart siding and just for test cases in general. But I know there's 2 active ones and there still is not a 3rd as of yet. So there's still a slot open if this wants to potentially be another test case for LP.
We should just make sure we know it in the record that if we do approve this, that is a test case.
Mhm.
This 3rd test case.
Yeah.
That we wouldn't approve anymore until we see the result of this test case. Right.
The extent of this LP Smart side is gonna be on the dormer. And then on the, assuming the roof, at this.
Correct.
I think it's a good option for a test case, as it's gonna be
Small area.
small areas, would be a major impact to the entire structure.
The doghouse is so far back, it's far away to see.
Yeah.
And if it fails, it's not a catastrophe.
Love working with that.
Motion?
Question before making a motion, do we just split these into, two, one for the recommended variances and then one for everything else?
Staff would recommend that, or that split.
So we can have a motion to split, and then we'll do a motion separately for each.
Everybody's good with the door as proposed. I actually think the logic makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I would like to see the divided lights, but I get the approach.
One for the variance.
Was that originally a door opening or was that originally a window?
We couldn't determine
It's-
before.
Yeah, I'd be fine if they wanted like a divided light transom, because it's different type of a door.
So I'm okay with it, honestly. So,
Aesthetic, whatever they like.
I love a motion.
All right. On item 08 GV 2305-028, 30 Columbus Street, 762 Pearl Street, etc. I move to split it into two parts, part A being the zoning variances and part being the remainder of the application.
Is there a second? Second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move on 08A GV 2305-028, 30 Columbus Street, 762 Pearl Street, etc., to recommend the zoning variances.
Excuse me, Commissioners, before we continue on to the second portion, just as a note, we want to mention the test case for the LP Smart side again.
Yeah.
Okay, just double checking. Apologies, thank you.
So the first motion for the variance, is there a second on this motion?
Second.
Any question on the motion? I will make a note, these are all existing conditions, the structure not being altered, so it's just kind of as is. All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, on item 08B GV 2305-028, 30 Columbus Street, 76 Pearl Street, etc., I move to approve as submitted with the caveat that the LP Smart Sighting, is that correct? Is a test case to number 3 in the group that we have.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? So as it being a test case, the request is that as it gets installed, notify staff so we can identify what date that is. And then 1 year, 6 months, and then 1 year prior, or 1 year on, we want to take a look at it and just verify that it's performing as expected, which we probably do from the street pretty easily, but just make sure you notify staff. And also make a note on the application, on the motion, that the double doors going in and opening, that it's historically been there, but it's bricked up. We're not cutting a new opening into a pristine wall. All right, we have a second, no questions. All those in favor? Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 9. There we go, GV-23-05-030 Charlie, 76 East Casa, and 804 City Park. Your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Nathan Sampson.
Thank you.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is a variance recommendation for 76 Casa Street. It's 3332.21 front yard setback to reduce the size of the required front yard setback to 6 feet from 10 feet, or to 6 inches from 10 feet. 3332.26 minimum side yard east to reduce the size of the minimum side yard setback to 0 feet from 5 feet. 3312.49 off-street parking spaces to reduce the required parking spaces per dwelling unit to 1 from the required 2. And hardscaping to install a new in-ground pool that's 14 feet by 20 feet with an automated pool cover and the pool decking to be a concrete without wash. To install a 4-foot tall fence and gate between 804 City Park Avenue, Garage Addition, and 76 Coppice Street. And the landscaping plan is to be submitted. The staff analysis, including summary of any previous review. At the March 2022 hearing, the commission voted to approve no door openings at the 804 City Park Avenue addition. The commission supported the design, but conditioned that the AC unit be moved from the rear corner of the yard of the garage. The COA has not been issued as pending the receipt of the revised drawing showing the new AC unit's location, but that was changed. The AC unit's location was changed at the last approval in May. At the May hearing, the commission I'm missing words. I was trying to figure out what the word should be. But the commission also requested a drawing of the proposed retaining wall and details in the materials for the wall and steps. The commission also requested a drawing indicating where the paint will be for 804 City Park Avenue and emphasized the commission typically does not support painting previously unpainted masonry. The applicant provided updated materials, including removing the painting of the masonry. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends the commission split the application into 2 parts. Split it again, I know. The variance recommendation and the hardscaping. Staff recommends the commission recommend the variance recommendation, and then staff recommends the application continue the hardscaping to allow time to provide the landscaping plan and hardscaping plan so the application can be considered together. And the landscaping plan is on the July agenda. The basis for the staff recommendation is 311611 standards for alteration, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Standards for site improvements A, Sherman Village guidelines for color 3, Sherman Village guidelines for fences and walls 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. And the Durban Village guidelines for site lighting, free furniture, pools, fountains, and gazebos 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6.
Anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. I think that, per staff's recommendation, just thinking about today, the, approval for zoning, variance request, the landscape plan is coming here in a couple weeks. And I would think that it would sort of be a waste of time to talk about those items without the landscape plan in front of you. So I think, if we can focus on the, modifications to the zoning variance request, we can maybe get that explained and taken care of. I think from the last hearing, we had asked for a 2 off-street parking spot variance. And looking at the street parking and a number of the, the context of this, and also the updated landscape plan design was modified so that today what we're asking for is simply to legitimize the existing condition on site, which is 1 off-street parking space, which we'll maintain. The fence and the gate, plantings, et cetera, will be used simply to, 1, cover for the pool fence height, which is 48 inches we need to have, but also just find a solution where that parking spot, even if the current owner isn't going to use it, it's available, into the future, and we're maintaining those existing conditions.
Clarify that all of the requests are existing conditions, just firming up right now.
Correct, and I think the one that we updated or needed to update per staff's request was the east setback. The existing condition is 14 inches, not 0, and we're happy to have that be a modification.
So that's, we're amending that right now. Okay.
Any questions?
So we want to split this into A and B again, A being zoning, B being hardscaping.
Yes, I think B can be contingent. You're gonna, have the landscape plan, fence, et cetera, in front of you at the next hearing. So you could be at a table the second half to that.
So would it be better for us just to say that we're going to amend your application to be just zoning and eliminate the rest of it?
I think that's simpler.
Yeah. And then,
No?
The only reason is, it's on the agenda as next month as a continued application, and this would be for
For the
30C, and there would be no way to put it on the agenda.
so my request is to add it to that application.
My request is to have a motion to split this The variance is being D delta. We haven't used delta yet, have we?
So I did talk to the historic preservation officer and he suggested lowercase letters, so CA and CP.
Okay.
If you were to split the application.
Okay. And that way C. Yeah,
Thanks.
Just to keep the history of the review.
fair.
Okay, so on item 09 GV 23050330C, I move, sure you don't want to do C.1 and C.2? That's. Okay. All right, I move to split it into two parts. C little a being for the variances and capital C little b being for the remainder of the application.
Any questions on that motion? Those in favor?
Second.
Oh, sorry. We got a second. Any questions? No questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have a motion. Passes. All right, was there a motion on C little
Can I
a?
ask a technical question?
Yes.
If we motion to add CB to the other application for next month, rather than, so that we're considering it all together, because that's what we want, right? The hardscape, landscape, all students, or no?
That stuff's being added to CB
Yeah, I
next
mean,
month.
Yeah.
Oh, that stuff, yeah. Okay.
yeah, that's why we're setting up this
Got
way.
it, got it. Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, on item 09 GV 2305030, capital C little a, 76 Casa Sonado for City Park Avenue, I move to recommend the zoning variation.
I think that was little B.
Variances.
It's little.
Little B.
Little b?
A was the variance, right? Oh, the A. Right.
It is,
It's A.
we're going for the variance.
Little A.
So confused. I'm sorry, Ned.
I'm not doing better, don't worry.
I'll just make
I'm sure you're doing great.
one clarification, that the side yard is 1'2", not 0,
No, for correction.
for correction.
Thank you, Commissioner Roki.
Yeah, second. Any questions on the motion? This is for the variances. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Passes.
Okay, so capital C little b, we need to continue? All right. Mr. Chairman, on 09 GV 2305030, capital C little b, I move to continue.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Let's try not to split this anymore.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
My defense, my son had me up all night last night.
Well, there's a lot more letters in the alphabet.
Start going to the Greek alphabet. Right, moving on to item number 10, GV-23-06-028, 634 Mohawk.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself from this.
Somebody else have to make the motion.
Yep, that's, yeah.
It's not
I'm looking at you.
Once you're both settled, will you please raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes,
I do. And please state your name for the record.
Brian Graham, Capital City awning.
Thank you.
Mark Suter.
This is a request for action. Proposed work description is an exterior building alteration for a new awning. To install a new entrance awning on the primary elevation on the the primary entrance on the south elevation. Awning dimensions are 4 feet 6 inches wide by 2 feet 4 inches high by 3 foot 4 inches projection from the house with an 8-inch ridge curtain. The awning frame to be a 1 by 2 inch welded aluminum with a 1 inch square aluminum powder coated frame attached to the house. And the fabric to be either a silica stone 4861 or burgundy 4631. The staff analysis of the June business meeting, the commission asked how close to the property line the proposed awning will be and emphasized the hardware should be installed through mortar joint and bricks. The commission suggested the applicant's contractor measure before interior installation to ensure hardware is mounted through masonry joints. The applicant responded to ensure that the awning will be approximately 25 inches from the property line and 32 inches from the adjoining neighbor's brick house, and the Capital City awning is aware of the need to secure the structure via masonry joints. The staff recommendation is staff recommends approval with any all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of certificate. The basis for staff recommendation is 301-613 standards for site improvements A and Durban Village guidelines for awnings, age 100 and 1, 2, and 3.
Anything else to add?
No.
Questions, comments from the commission?
How is the top of the awning being installed? Because the rendering looks like it's like right at the stone lintel.
It'll be above the, it'll be above the
The
lintel.
lintel, yes.
So be in the mortar joint above the lintel?
Yes,
So is it just a bar?
it is. It's aluminum.
I assume it's similar to others you've done in the.
Yes,
new code.
yes.
I forgot that was here.
That's not.
Any other questions? We good? All right, motion to approve item 10 GD 23 06 634 Mohawk Street. Pass.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
There are two color options. Do commissioners have a preference or like either or is fine?
Since there was two options and we voted on it, I think they get the option to do either.
Yeah.
I just want to double check. Since we're two.
Unless anybody objects that.
So we have the ayes and any against? Ayes have, the motion passes. Thank you. Feel free to move your hand and stop.
Under hearing.
Moving ahead to item number 11, GV 23-06-029, 307 East Columbus Street.
Good to see you.
Pause real quick, I'm gonna wait for Commissioner Field to get back in.
Being social.
See you later. You'll please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Charlie Shire.
Thank you very much.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is an exterior building alteration to enclose 3 windows and 1 door. This application is in response to a code violation, and the violation number is 23444000002. The work has been completed. We enclosed 3 windows, one on the east elevation first floor, one on the east elevation second floor, and one on the west elevation third floor, and to enclose 1 door on the east elevation in the front of them. The staff analysis, including summary of any previous review, is at the June business meeting. The commission requested an elevation drawing that showed the existing condition before work, requested Sanborn maps, and requested any photos of construction that show the exposed wood or lumber. HPO staff would recommend retaining windows and doors on drywalling over the interior to maintain the original historical openings typically. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends to continue the application to allow time for the applicant to create a design that better aligns with guidelines and code. The basis for staff recommendation is 311611, standards for alteration 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, and 12. German Village guidelines for windows 1, 2, 3, and 6, and German Village guidelines for entrances and doors 1 and 7.
Anything else to add? No. Questions, comments from the commission?
Two windows and 1 door, is that what I'm saying? They got filled in?
Yeah.
I will say, can I say a comment?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically I'm the general contractor on the job, but this got approved by the city, the plans did. And then the owner had me move forward on it. I wasn't part of the planning or anything of this. But the plan got approved by the city. Basically, we were allowed to do the work, and by the time we already removed those windows, which they were in really bad condition, the windows were already gone and we had already framed up the exterior.
So it didn't get through the.
Yeah, so I don't know what the confusion was, but I don't know why the plans got approved and you guys didn't get to see it, but I don't know what happened there.
It did go through the city and get a permit. We were notified that there was work being done without approval from COA. Eventually, discussion with, I believe you, Charlie, and the homeowner to get this solved. A lot of the items were repair, replace in kind. I believe either I was staffing at the time of this discussion. There was a discussion about the enclosed windows and doors, but that would need to come to the commission, and it seems to have been completed without that discussion. We're having that discussion now. But a lot of the items were approved by staff for repair, replace in kind for those items.
And typically that wouldn't happen. Get sent to you. To look.
Yeah, typically the process, yeah.
Yeah. Was something fell through here. Yeah,
You are correct, Commissioner Foley.
that's interesting. That's tricky.
So if you're making this application and asking to remove these windows before it was done, we probably wouldn't approve it.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we followed the plans as they were approved through the city, and I had no knowledge of the commission having to approve it because they already got approved. I just got put on the job. It was already approved. I wasn't part of the planning process, so now we're just trying to make sure everything's okay.
I don't know how we can't tell you to restore them.
Yeah. And we restored all the windows that we kept. Originally he wanted to replace them, but we ended up just restoring all the original windows except for those 3 that got removed. But they are pretty rough.
Would you be okay with that restoring them to look like a window opening on the outside? And re drywall on the inside,
I have no problem with the inside finish as long as it looks like the real thing on the outside,
which is what staff recommended.
which is what we would approve if this was before the fact.
We've done that. Is it a spandrel glass or what have we done that typically?
Well, it's fiberglass.
I believe so, or the other option is to paint the back of the drywall black.
So it's just.
Yeah.
Put the window back.
Clear glass, yeah.
Has been approved for that.
The good news about that is you're not gonna have to tear everything in the inside out, reduce all that, it's just an exterior model. Not great news, don't get me wrong, but it's better news than that.
I will say that what's been suggested is the easiest course of action from a commission point. What can be done is you can ask us to vote on it as it is. If that gets denied, there are 3 different courses of appeal, or sort of pass forward. One is come back to us on appeal, in which case we could hear things like financial hardships and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's mediation and also going directly to the board.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and speaking on behalf of the owner, he did put a lot of work into this house. It's really beautiful on the inside and out now. He followed all your colors and we matched the siding up with that cement that you guys recommended, bringing in everything. I think he'd like to get a vote just to leave it as we have it now because it looks really good. But I do know you guys have policies, but he would say that it got approved and we weren't notified till the work had already begun. So there will be a little annoyance with that, but I understand where you guys are coming from completely.
Very unfortunate.
And I think a good grounds for your appeals in the appeal process. Unfortunately, we're not the appeal process, we're the initial review.
Additionally, we could continue the application, please continue the application for, discussion with the homeowner for that option, and then could come back for next month's hearing additionally.
If we do vote and it's in the negative, if we do deny the application, it would be to come back to ask to put it, what was discussed, would be a whole new application, whereas a continuation would put it on top, would put it kind of at the top of the agenda, to keep you on the agenda moving forward. So we just want to make sure you have all the options in front of you to choose what you want us to do. We're happy to take a vote now and straight down vote on it. Or we continue it if you want to go back and talk with the homeowner.
Which gives you the opportunity to have the conversation with the homeowner about this is what the board commission's tending towards putting them back in.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I can just confirm with him that that'd work if we just continue.
We can do that.
Mr. Chairman, item GB 2306-029, 307 East Columbus Street, I move to continue.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. I apologize for the situation, but I like to say it never happens, but every once in a while, this comes up.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Moving on, number 12, GB-23-06-030, 335 Beck Street. If you please raise your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth. I do. Please state your name for the record.
Daniel May.
Thank you.
This is a request for action that's proposed with the proposed work description is for landscaping. To build a 6-inch tall wall along the fence using 1.5 ton of Indiana limestone and gravel base glued together. The removal of all plantings in the front yard and to plant, boxwood, dwarf hydrangea tree, weeping beech, cone-shaped boxwood, and English ivy per submitted site plan, to grind off paint and repaint metal fence. For the staff analysis, at the June business meeting, the commission asked if the applicant intended to replace the existing brick edging, requested a sketch of how the wall interacts with the fence, and advised against grinding or damaging the fence, and recommended a wire brush to remove paint. The applicant provided that they are replacing the brick and provided a photo showing what the wall will look like when it is complete. Staff recommends approval of any all verifications be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance certificate. The base for that recommendation is 311613 standards for site improvements A. German village guidelines for fences and walls, 1, 2, 1 and 2.
Anything else to add? Questions, comments from the commission?
Yeah, I'm curious what the relationship with the bottom of the fence and the top of the limestone is. And the limestone sit right underneath the fence or in front of it? Because it looks like your example, it's in front of the fence.
It's similar to that.
So it's in front of the fence. Or property. Ken, and where's the brick at?
Brick is gone.
Where was the brick at? Was it under the fence or in front of the fence? Looks like it's under the fence.
I haven't seen it in 3 months.
Hey,
It's just kind of all
Looks like it's in
well, I'm
front.
not gonna hear it. It looks like it's,
It looks like it's in front of the fence.
okay, that's,
As a-
Yeah.
Flush
Okay.
with the stone.
Yeah.
I'm just, see what Karen says.
Well, the concern would be actually the concern that you had, which is there enough room to put stone in there?
Yeah.
I mean, that looks like a situation where the fence is raised higher.
In that picture.
So are you just putting a single limestone?
Exactly like that in front of the fence or under the fence.
There doesn't appear to be space to do that.
Not without removing some paper.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Put it behind the fence.
Near that fence line.
If we put it behind the fence, would that not, yeah, be?
You see more behind the fence than in front of them, I think.
Yeah, but I think it's better in front because I think the grade's a little higher on the property and that's gonna, contain landscape.
Yeah.
It's difficult to tell from that photo
It looks like.
where the bottom of the
Just that.
fence actually is, but
And if the front of the limestone is flush with the existing limestone that's there,
Mhm.
and then the stone is notched around where the posts come into the dirt, is that acceptable? I think the situation is you're not gonna have enough space from the front of the fence to the front of that existing limestone, to put new
Right.
limestone in. So it looks like it's only about 4 inches or so.
yeah, or the limestone is, it's depressed into the ground because the limstone's acting as an edger for the pavers and also to pull back the soil. But we don't want it to conflict with the fence posts.
Or and actually the pier, that's the other end too. It's like that.
Understanding the concern.
Yeah, it's a free flowing art when you're building. It is to some point a free flowing art when you're putting it together. It's-
You're kind of trying to make it line up with that existing one too, but
Well, yeah, the description here says that it's a 6-inch tall limestone curbing, basically.
2 to 3 inches of it is buried.
Okay,
The wall is,
so I think that, as long as it's flush with that existing piece of limestone at the
right.
fence threshold, it should be fine.
How will the stone sit in relationship to the brick on the next bay, I guess in the next house? They've got a brick.
Next pier.
Yeah.
It should connect right to the edge. hopefully.
So this
Yeah.
would look like a brick, just be stone instead.
Right.
Right. So it'll terminate at the
You
pier.
can flush in the front right here,
Yeah,
because it'll have to be higher here. Because this gets higher.
unless, they may just step it up
Yeah.
with the picture.
with grade.
Are you okay with that condition that it stays flush with the front of the existing lot? Does that satisfy your concern?
Yep.
That,
Me too, that's what I was trying to figure out.
so we'll note that as amended to the application.
So item 12 GB 2306030, 335 East Beck Street, I move to approve as amended where the limestone face will line up with the gate threshold stone and the pier, facing the pier also.
So that no papers are removed.
So no papers are replaced, relocated, or modified.
Might have to cut them a little bit to make it smooth, but
I'm thinking, we're gonna have to move them to put the stone down and put it back.
I think we're good with.
You're not gonna find out a bunch of inches. Second.
Any question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thanks. Right, moving on to item 13, GV 23 06 684 South Third Street.
I'm recused from this one, and I think it's the next one, also different.
Yes.
Yes, for the next.
Good. Please raise your right hands. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Kevin Lee.
Matthew Teisman, MKC Architects.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is for new construction and exterior building alteration for stained glass on the north elevation. After an approved design from a rounded arch, alter an approved design from a rounded arch to a stained glass to a Gothic arch. At the staff analysis of the June business meeting, the commission had no comments or feedback for the applicant. Staff recommendation is that staff recommends approval with any all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of a certificate. The basis for the staff recommendation is 311612 standards for new construction, ADH and ADH&M.
Anything else to add?
Yes. Chairman Perky and Commissioners. First, may I provide a brief commentary, as I'm not sure we would be bringing forward any additional project requests given the status of our campus project. For the last 2 years, our project has been in process of development and now construction. During that time, we have visited this commission on many occasions and stretched the commission on a number of requests. We had some healthy debate, did not always obtain approvals we sought, but now seeing our designs unfold, we received the approvals we needed for our St. Mary's School to achieve its mission and long-term vision. For that, and for the record, as primary representatives of and spokespeople for the project for St. Mary, Matthew and I would like to formally express our personal thanks on behalf of the St. Mary's School and Parish. So thank you for the true partnership on our endeavors. Switching gears to our projects, first specific to our window request. Understand at the time our project submission, we had not sourced a stained glass window befitting of the space. The window found was sourced from a closed parish in Pennsylvania. In order for the specific window to be installed, that arch modification, the Gothic arch modification is necessary. Secondly, regarding the ramp, one of the ramp projects, the inception of this need was born out of the feedback received during the listening session Father Vince held with the South Side parishes involved in the consolidation that's going on right now with St. Mary. It was learned that even though we have an ADA rated entrance through the Berkeley Center with an elevator, that entrance process to the parish, many, though not handicapped, are physically challenged to climb the front steps on 3rd Street on a regular basis to enter the parish. Rather than alter the 3rd Street entrance process, we chose this alternative to provide the assistance needed by folks accessing from the rear, being able to walk up a ramp without any steps to aid in their access to the church from the back. With that, I'll turn it over to Matthew for additional commentary on the project.
Yeah, I think Kevin did a great job explaining it, so I'm here to answer any questions you might have, specifically with stained glass for this application, and then we can talk more about the ramps. I'm 14.
Questions, Commissioner?
I think probably Gothic window is more appropriate than what you had originally.
I agree too.
I do have one question. Is the intent to have this stainless window be like in the open proper, or is it set inside? I'm looking at the elevations and it's showing a bunch of mullions and whatnot.
So it's inlaid into the frame of the curtain wall.
Okay.
And so it's inboard of it.
Okay.
Protected. Mr. Chairman, item 13 GV 2306-031, 684 South Third Street, regards to the modification to the windows, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, the motion passes. Move ahead to item 14, which is the ramp, GV-23-06-032. Let the record note that the applicants are still sworn in.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is for new construction and exterior building alteration for accessible ramps, to install a rear church ramp, to demolish existing concrete steps, these existing concrete landing to remain. The new concrete ramp is to be built 65 feet in length, 5 feet in width, and approximately 6 feet tall. To install a steel guardrail with profile to match existing guardrail on St. Mary's campus. The guardrail to be painted a Sherwin-Williams 7069 iron ore or black powder coated. To install a lower level ramp, the removal of earth down to the lower level with the installation of 2 concrete retaining walls. The new concrete ramp to be built. To install a new guardrail with profile to match existing guardrail on St. Mary's campus. Also to be painted Sherwin-Williams SW 7069 iron ore or black powder coated. To install a new entry door into the lower level of the Berkeley Center, and the new entry door to be Steelcraft hollow metal door L series. At the staff analysis at the June business meeting, the commission had no comments or feedback for the applicant at that time. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends approval of any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to creation of certificate. And the basis for staff recommendation is 3116 standards for alteration 1. 2, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and the Durban Village guidelines, I apologize for that typo, on accessibility 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Anything else to add on the ramp? Questions, comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, if there's no comments on item 14 GV 23-6032, 672 South Third Street, with respect to ADA access, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, the motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Moving on to item 15, GV-23-06-033, 738-744 Yeager Street. The applicants for 738-744 Yeager Street. Come back to that one. Moving ahead to item 16, GB-23-06-034, 107 Deshton. If you both please raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth.
Yes. Yes.
Please state your names for the record.
Steve Herb with Urban Order Architecture.
Dean Berlin, Urban Order.
This is a request for action. It's an exterior building alteration for shutters. To install painted wood shutters over existing openings on 4 east elevation second floor windows. 2 windows in the west elevation will remain shuttered as previously approved as GV-22-06-026. In 2022, the commission approved 5 windows to be shuttered, and at the June business meeting, the commission had no comments or feedback for the applicant at that time. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends approval with any clarifications be submitted to HPO staff prior to the issue of certificate. And that is 311611, as the basis for staff recommendation 311611, standing for alteration 1, 2, 9, 11. I apologize, my pages are a little off, and 12. And Durban Village guidelines for ornamentation, trim brackets, shutters and light fixtures 3, and Durban Village guidelines for windows 6.
Anything else to add? Questions, comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, if there are no comments from the other commissioners on item 16 GB 2306-034 107 Dishler Avenue, we move to approve this.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Against? I have motion passes.
Great, thanks you.
Very much. Moving on to item number 17, GB-23-06-035, 1009, 1011 City Park Avenue. The records show the applicants are still sworn in.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is an exterior building alteration for windows, doors, and gas lanterns. To replace the existing windows and front windows with new Marvin Ultimate clad double hung wood with bronze exterior, 2/2 to match existing openings. To replace the non-original 6-panel front doors with new new 4-panel doors. To replace the decorative glass in the transom to clear insulated glass. To paint all exterior trim to Sherwin-Williams sealskin, including trims, gutters, soffits, and doors. To install a new gas lantern to replace the existing electric fixture in the same location. To remove the existing canvas awnings and to remove the existing non-original shutters. The staff analysis of the business meeting, the commission requested staff perform a site visit to assess the windows and requested any historic photos. Staff completed a site visit on June 2nd, 2023, and found the windows to be in repairable condition. However, some windows appeared to be replacements at both addresses, 1009 and 1011, but the replacements were older replacements in good conditions. In good condition. The replacements were the windows with a different profile, where one of the window profiles is beveled. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends the commission split the application. Staff recommends part 1 be the replacement of the existing windows, and that the commission continue this portion of the application to allow further study of the existing windows, and for the applicant to provide a window assessment. And staff recommends approval of all other items, including storm windows, with any and all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of certificate. The basis for the staff recommendation is 31611, standards for alteration 2, 6, 9, and 10. Durham Village Guidelines entrances and doors 1, 2, 3, 5, and 5. The Durham Village Guidelines site lighting, street furniture, pools, fountains, and gazebos 2 and 3. And Durham Village Guidelines ornamentation for trim brackets, hood mold, shutters, and light fixtures, page 76 and 3. Durham Village Guidelines for windows 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. And Durham Village Guidelines from the 2005 amendments for window replacement. And the Durham Village Guidelines for awnings 1, 2, and 3.
Anything else to add?
I think with everything with the windows, if we can just do that and be done with that, that would be great. And then as far as windows, this is something that is continuously coming up with clients. And if we need to do what would the commission be interested in seeing that would compel them to say that it's okay to replace an old wood window? Or is there anything? Like, we see and our clients see that windows have been replaced, and I know that sometimes they were, replacing a replacement window, or there's deterioration more significant than these windows. But at the same time, repairing an existing wood window has been difficult to find someone to do that. And storm windows, we have one company that's making a storm window anymore. So it's more than just trying to fix an historic window, because we understand that would be the preference. But what would compel the commission to come up with a approval to put a new window in?
I could start, I guess, a little bit on that. The challenge is that both our guidelines and the National Park guidelines say to restore and put storm windows on. That is the typical historic preservation process. Short of a change to those, I think our hands are pretty much tied to say that that's what we have to do, unless there is a compelling, not repairable situation, which is hard to prove, right?
I will say that a lot of times the reasoning folks give is they can't nobody's repairing windows out there, and I did a Google search and called the companies, and there are at least 8 within a quick Google search away within the 100-mile radius of Columbus. So I'm hard pressed to take that into account of you can't repair wood windows because there are folks who are out there doing it. Is it a financial issue? That's a different conversation piece. That's not something we hear on the first application. That would be an appeal, which require backup documentation and that kind of stuff to achieve that. So fortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, it's a historic district. There are certain sacred things, and windows tend to be one of them. And as Brett said, it's both our guidelines as well as the National Park Services, which is where we draw most of our recommendation from. So.
No, that's fine, and you're preaching to the choir, so we completely understand that. It's just we don't want to waste staff time too much, and also client time, and we can advise clients, and half the time they listen. So we just want to see if there was anything clear that would kind of
In the past,
help us.
you usually said like if like 50% of the window is soft, deteriorated,
Okay.
and there's like evidence of previous repairs that have since failed.
So yeah, so significant repairs or damage to the window. So that's
Yes, not just
not just
demolition by neglect.
not that I just don't like it. Oh, it is, yeah. So
Broken panes are easily fixed. The bottom,
oh yeah,
your bottom piece of the window, that rail is usually typically deteriorated, but that can be replaced, repaired, consolidated, fixed. It's usually when the entire window is just falling out, everything is broken, coming apart.
okay, that's good to know. We just wanted to find out if there was any kind of parameters, so it helps us. So.
And we were here a month or 2 ago for a project in Mohawk, and we are fixing all of those windows. So we know the people who can fix them. It's just that we're 18 months out to
lead times.
To get, the rest of the project will be fun, will be finished. So. Is there anything to talk about removing the awnings and replacing the replacement door and
taking shutters?
I have nothing to add.
Okay.
On those topics.
As far as the new gas lantern replacing existing electric fixture, so we're going back and looking to see so many pages, trying to find what's the size of the existing fixture versus the proposed fixture.
I didn't measure the existing fixture.
Existing looks like it's about what 12, 14 inches.
4 bricks,
Yeah, 4 bricks. Yeah.
8 bricks.
And then the size of the new one is small.
So you're doing a 10-inch?
Yes. I can't see that.
Top to bottom, the existing one looks like 15 inches, or, yeah.
Yeah, can you scoot
Those exterior fixtures could just be really big, I think is the concern.
This one looks in scale to what he says.
It's very similar to what exists.
There's been a lot of times conversation about folks wanting to have a larger gas lamp is because they want to have more light output. It's like, well, it's the same trade-off. If you want to have a compatible fixture, there's a reason why gas fixtures weren't put in these locations in the first place. They weren't meant to provide broad daylighting of space.
So this one says it's 10 to 16 inches tall. Looks like your existing fixture is 16 inches tall.
Yeah, so I'd say probably the 15-inch one would be appropriate. So
Yeah. So I'm gathering we're going to split this.
yeah, just split it.
All right. Mr. Chairman, on item 17 GD 2306-035, 1009, 1011 City Park Avenue, I move to split this application into 2 parts. 035A, which would be everything but the windows, and 035B, which would be the issue of replacing the windows.
Second.
Any question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? I just have a motion passes. Before we go on to voting for the second 2 pieces, I do have a question about the transoms. We have evidence that circular glass is not a historic transom piece of glass.
So Nicole and Morgan were out with us looking at that, but it doesn't look like old glass at all.
Is it real glass?
I didn't.
1960s, it was big in plastic to do that.
I didn't get up there and tap on it. But it looks like that.
I'm guessing,
Swapped it out, yeah, so.
yep, that stuff was big in the home lumber yards in the 60s.
Looking at the.
I lived through a partition in the house with that.
I'm looking at the woodwork around, it looks like it may be the original transom frame.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
So if it's operable frames, been painted shut, can you fit insulated glass in that wood frame, which is only built for a single pane? So that's my concern with replacing it with insulated glass is,
I don't think you can.
might not be enough space in there to actually, you'll have to take out the frame and replace the wood frame, which may be original. So it might,
We just want to put clear glass in there.
Yeah, I'd say for that size, you're not gonna lose your game as much anyway for the.
We're keeping the original frame.
my recommendation is to amend the application to have a single pane piece of glass. If you find that you can't fit insulated glass in, you can come back to us. That's easy to approve that real quick. I want to give you the approval to move forward with it. So
Okay.
would you like to approve would you like to amend the application to have a single pane glass?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Mr. Chairman, on item 17 GVO 230635A, I move to approve as amended with a single pane of clear glass in the door transoms.
Second. Question on the motion? Is that a little A or big? Just kidding. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, you do want to continue the,
I
right?
do want to continue with your, just.
I don't know what we would submit that would.
And especially after staff being there and making a recommendation, I don't know if we'd go any further, so.
The next option would be, of course, to contact Columbus Landmarks for a reference to someone else who, deals with restoration of windows, to give their recommendation as well. I wonder if that would be the next step.
Yeah, but wood window specialist restoration package, if they're not repairable, that opens up.
But in your experience, they're repairable, so.
Yes,
that's it.
in my experience, they do look to be repairable, even with the changes.
Yeah, so I think probably just to vote on that.
So that you have the rights to appeal at that.
Yeah.
I would
Probably just to get it off your record.
But if they do window repairs, that's staff approval?
Yeah,
Okay. I just want to make sure we're not going to delay that.
yeah, I mean, certainly, it could be denied today potentially, and of course, you could resubmit the application.
With additional information.
If there's something.
What's your recommendation? Do we continue when they come back with replacement? Or do we?
I'll do it for. I need another track.
I mean, I think it depends on the intent of coming back to continue like with the replacement route, or if you're moving into the repair route. If you're still gonna go down the route for going with replacements, then Morgan is right. I would go to Columbus Landmarks and get a window assessment done and see if you can get a window expert to attest they're not repairable. That would mean a continuation today would be the best option, but otherwise, continuing it also just keeps it open if you want to come back with anything in the future.
Voting on it gives you a chance to go on appeal for whatever.
Yeah, we're not doing that. In the case, in the case of project on Mohawk, we continued it, but then we decided that we're just gonna repair the windows, and then we got a staff approval for that.
And that would just get a new application number as the new application came in for the repair.
So it just.
If you didn't continue, if we continue this and you don't, you can just end it.
Withdrawal.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay, so we continue. Okay, I just want to make sure before, okay, sure. Item 17 GB 2306035B, I move to continue.
Second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Uh,
16 here?
It was
Yes,
15.
15.
Sorry about that.
Recognize the owner.
I'll check down the hall.
No worries. Item 15, GV-23-06-033-738-744 Yeager Street. Please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Jonathan Knitter.
Thank you.
This is a request for action. It's an exterior building alteration for changes to an approved design. The garage was previously approved as GV 21-01-025 and renewed as GV 23-01-002. The proposal is to add a new door opening on the rear north elevation of the garage to allow for lawn equipment. The new garage door to be wood paneled, be 10 feet long, 7 feet 6 inches high. Staff analysis, including summary of any previous review, is in 2020 with GV 20-20-07-044, the commission approved the demolition of the garage from the property due to a tree falling on the garage. In 2021, with GV 21-01-025, the commission approved the construction of a new garage to replace the garage that was demolished. And staff renewed the garage construction application in 2023 with GV 23-01-002. At the June business meeting, the commission had no comments or feedback for the applicants at that time. Staff recommendation is that staff recommends to approval with any all clarifications be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of certificate with the following conditions. And the staff recommended condition is that the garage doors to be simple wood doors outlined in the guidelines and submitted to staff. And any windows from the approval is to be submitted to staff prior to the issuance of the certificate. The basis for staff recommendation is 311612, standards for new construction, A, D, G, and M, and 311613, standards for site improvements, A, and Dearborn Village guidelines for new garages and outbuildings 1 and 6.
Anything else to add?
No, thanks.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Oh, I just remember on our early commission, Jay Panzer telling the applicant, put a garage door in the rear. You won't regret it.
Good idea.
You'll regret it if you don't.
Yeah.
There are no objections or any other comments.
For item 15 GB 23-06-033-738 Yeager Street, I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have, the motion passes.
Thank you very much.
All right, going back forward, item 18 GB 23-06-036 246 Sycamore. Would you please raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Morgan.
Thank you.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is an exterior building alteration to alter garage openings, to remove the existing side door and transom on the south elevation and install a Marvin modern outswing door, to remove existing overhead door on the south elevation and install a Marvin modern multi-slide door in existing opening, and add a doggy door to the west elevation towards the southwest corner. Staff analysis of the June business meeting, the commission requested the date of construction of the garage, and the garage was approved in 2008 as GV-08-07-012. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends approval with any all clarifications be submitted to HPO staff prior to the issuance of certificate. The basis for staff recommendation is Dearborn Village guidelines for new garages and outbuildings 1 and 6, and 311612 standards for new construction A, and D, E, F, K, and M.
Anything else to add?
No.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Everything's on the yard side, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
okay.
Well, the doggy door is on the side, but the 6 foot tall fence will block it from the neighbor's view. That little,
The dog lovers on the commission have to recuse themselves.
I just don't want my dog to see this.
I don't have any.
There are no
No objections or
further
comments?
conversations or, Sherman, on item GV, item number 18, GV 23-06-036-246 East Sycamore Street, I move to approve as submitted.
Second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have, the motion passes.
thank you very much. Ready to see man.
All right, moving ahead to item 19, GB 23-06-037 595 South Third Street.
This application was withdrawn by the applicant this morning. I don't have an agenda update the agenda.
I said what?
They didn't, they just.
Okay.
Jumping ahead, item number 20, GB 23-06-038 54 Whittier. If you please raise your right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth? I do.
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Will Milford.
Thank you.
Sadie Richmond.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is an exterior building alteration for changes to an approved design. The garage repair was originally approved as GB 21-11 025 to rebuild the wall to match existing condition. The proposed change is to enclose original windows and door openings on the east elevation and to smooth skim the bottom 3 courses and paint the entire wall. Staff analysis, including summary of any previous review, is that the project came to staff attention during a site visit for a different property when the applicant mentioned a question regarding approval for a stamping block to capture historic appearance for a property. Staff identified the difference between the improved design and the work that was completed and suggested the applicant return to the commission. At the June business meeting, the commission asked why the CMU does not match the existing block and requested staff provide information on the history of the structure and previous work completed or proposed. HBO recommends the retention of the original openings. HBO staff recommended retention of the original openings. The staff recommendation is that the staff recommends the commission offer feedback and continue the application to allow time for the applicant to amend their design to be more in line with Durham Village guidelines and city code. The basis for staff recommendation is 311611, standards for alteration 1, 3, 5, 9, and 10, and 3116 13, standards for site improvements A. And the Durham Village guidelines for doors from the 2005 amendments. And then the quote there.
Anything else to add?
No.
Questions, comments from the commission?
This goes back to our previous application where you talked about restoring what was removed historically.
I guess I should add, some of the backstory of
Yes,
this
the
entire
context
project. A little more context to it as I actually think about it. We have had a few employment changes throughout this project. We've also found that the contractor originally brought onto the project was not aware that they were needing the DB commission to be a part of the city of Columbus approval process. We have now made him aware and he is no longer on the project. We were asking to potentially either keep the cinder block and try to paint it to match to similar properties that are within the same block area. If that is not a acceptable amendment to that, we have been having severe problems trying to find a stamp to get these two matched. We found one vendor who said he could try to create it for us, but it is a costly creation.
Oldenfield or whatever, Oldenburg.
Overfields.
Yeah. Under the impression they were still making their, or they were running this.
Well, it becomes a question. I mean, if you're looking for something off the shelf, like a split face or something, it's not
Oh, yeah.
the same. And would we rather it be something like that, clearly different, but is like a split face block, which is a standard block?
Right, and we'll just
Would
need
we
to
rather
match.
smooth be more differentiated than it's new, is the, I think, the
To
question.
me, this is a restoration.
Yeah.
Well, this came as a result of a violation for a structural issue from the city of Columbus for a wall in the garage.
Yeah. We had a CO on this before, didn't we?
Yeah.
Let's just start.
Yeah, I said, was during your time. The COA is in the materials as well.
Yeah.
Showing the retention of the doors.
Door in the window.
That's the same elevation.
It almost looks like the amount of material that is missing from the bottom
Was the door
was used to block in the door and the window openings.
Well, it was discovered when they went to try to keep those and repair them, they were not repairable. Unfortunately, they are not anywhere for us to actually check them at this point. They've been demoed as part of the actual wall structural work that was completed. So on this piece, if the commission requires that those be restored, we would ask for recommendation of some kind of a facade facing to show it looks like that, but have the interior remain.
How you do that? With block, that's hard.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's just a
Because you're gonna have to take the block out to do it.
Right.
Either way.
Either way we do this, if we have to make any changes, it's going to be a costly change.
So for clarity, you gave the contractor these drawings.
Unfortunately, we were not a part of the project at the time. The property manager in 2021 started it. The new property manager in 2022 completed it. We are now the new set of managers that are handling the project now.
Lucky you.
Yes.
So it's a rental, and it's not.
Yeah, it's a commercial rental.
I would recommend that we continue it, give you some time to try to find some better options.
We would appreciate any recommendations you would provide on that, as we are kind of at a point where if we keep continuing, we don't know where else to resource.
Well, there are windows and doors, if the windows and doors are gone, at this point, if there are windows and doors that are on an approved list that we can find that are the same size, that could be used. If you do that, that's actually gonna give you some of those blocks back.
If they can keep, if they're not, yeah.
If they can.
If they can keep them intact, yes.
Well, they were able to keep them to put back in the other one, so hopefully they can.
That'd be good, yes.
And then I think that if we could look at using a door and a window off the approved list at the same location. It looked like those probably just had, I don't know if the lintels, steel lintels, it looks like maybe on there. So we could go back with it, oh no, it looks like it might have been. It's okay. The door and window off the approved list, see how many blocks that gets us back. Fill in as many as we can down, see where we are, right?
Do you need the door and windows to be put back in?
Yes. Well, that was what was approved, yeah.
Would we
Typically,
be able to do any kind of an amend or change on that?
typically we wouldn't fill in an existing opening.
Even if it's a garage carport?
Correct.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be with you.
Our guidelines are to.
It's got
there was an earlier application, actually, where similar situation, actually, they filled in, and we've asked them that we continued it so they can go back and try to figure out what they're gonna do is that's frame construction.
That was the one earlier today.
Yeah,
You gave me
drywall
the option of
inside.
the change, yes. Okay.
So I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but approved window, approved door, I see how many block we
I'm
can.
not for approved window, approved door. I'm for something that resembles or duplicates what was taken out.
As best as possible, I mean,
No,
okay, well,
it can be made.
yeah, sure can.
I don't know where you're at financially, but I would recommend getting professional services to help solve some of these problems for it.
But we understand it's just going to be more costly, that's all.
I get it.
Well, we don't consider cost here.
I understand that.
I understand where you're going. with that.
It just, we're between a rock and a hard place on this project.
I mean,
trying to
I don't want to
finish
be.
it.
I don't want
Just trying to ask for a little recommendation and leniency to help us.
Yeah, I mean,
taking care of
it
it.
really needs to be put back to what it was supposed to, the intent of the original COA was.
I mean, when I went to go visit Rennie Block down in Cincinnati, they actually had one of the original Sears block wool things sitting in their foyer as a display.
If it's like ours, I would love to ask them if we can use it.
I think that they do custom castings, it would be.
Because the person who was gonna create our custom stamp, it was gonna be between 35 and 5,000 just for the stamp.
Yeah.
Check with Redding's big time.
Okay.
And there's a company out there called Classic Rock Face Block. They've got a veneer solution. I'm not sure if that would pass muster with the commission, but they have the surface that you can apply to standard block. Getting that color match is going to be troublesome. So just trying to find some things out there for you. That's another potential option. I think they'd make a full block too, potentially, with that same surface.
Okay.
And with the window, the door is obviously very custom, very unique. The window, it's kind of a fixed wood door window. You still want to recreate that? Or
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a matter of millwork and
yeah,
stops and
that's a bit
glass.
simpler, yeah.
Yeah, it was not a big deal to begin with. I don't think it was ever operable.
That door is interesting. We have maybe
So
that's why I have a doors restoration person. And landmarks those windows with their.
Might check architectural salvage and see what's
Yeah.
there. That's what I was thinking.
So I guess my next question would be, if we cannot find the original door, what would be our next steps?
I would try to look for a historic door that's appropriate in that style.
Architectural salvage is a.
Yeah, yeah. That would be my suggestion.
Okay.
You might find the original door.
Who knows? I'm hoping, I don't know, the person we use, I have a feeling it went into a trash.
Into a dumpster.
And another potential option is, I had to get a little better pictures of what was there before, but getting like a solid slab door and being able to build up that relief on it with ply trim could be another option. I still have this kind of in.
Horrible, but this is my work.
Like we've done in garage doors before. And it's interesting, the difference in colors, the new block on the parapet. Because they were the same color previously. So are those new blocks up top, or those salvage blocks as well? Or you don't know?
They were not part of our project that I'm aware of.
Now, the two stars were there previously, maybe it's just paint.
Maybe it's when they took the ivy down.
Because if you look at the previous application, that was all the same color.
Maybe they just put the green block on it.
I don't know if the ivy, yeah.
No, we don't recommend that. Yeah. That's what's interesting is now maybe they strip the paint off that portion.
Are those blocks painted, or is that the natural color? That's that sandy color?
That sandy color is the color of holding.
So those top ones must have been replaced too.
Yeah. Is
They
there,
were not part of our project if they were replaced.
Gotcha.
So it must have been a cleaning or something else done unless they did not make us aware of the work they completed.
Yeah, sure.
Mystery.
That's what happens when you go through 3 property managers.
Yeah.
So with all that information, so I guess to continue the
Yes, please, if
application.
we could continue.
Okay, sure.
Mr. Chairman, item 30, GB 2306, 038, I move to continue.
Second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have, the motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Right, moving ahead to item number 21, GB-23-06-039, 839 South Pitt Street. If you would please raise your right hands. Other right hands.
Oh,
You're good. It happens.
Only my bottle.
Just go ahead and tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth. All right, your name, ma'am?
Barry Jones?
Steve?
Lori Gunzelman.
Thank you very much.
This is a request for action for a new construction and exterior building alteration to a garage. To construct a single-car garage addition that's 10 feet 6 inches wide by 23 feet 10 inches long, and to restore the historic garage. The new garage to have wood trim and milled siding, to remove and replace the wood roof framing on existing masonry garage, stabilize the existing foundation, install a new asphalt shingle roof with the new half-round metal gutters and downspouts, the shingle to be the GAF slate line and weathered slate. Refinish and repair all existing windows and doors. For one door, remove the existing plywood door and leave opening to connect structures. The demo existing concrete in front of the garage door and install a new concrete pad. Repair existing planned retaining wall and tuck point as required. There's also landscaping to remove an existing mature tree and to plant a 3-inch caliber Japanese bloodgood maple. The staff analysis is that at the June business meeting, the commission asked for information on what the previous garage looked like and what the size was. Staff informed the applicant that the shingle shown in the packet was not on the approved shingle list, and the applicant was also asked to provide an arborist report or reason for the trees need to be removed. The applicant responded that the garage addition to the north was removed prior to the current owner obtaining the property, and the shingles to be used the GF slate line weathered slate. For the proposed tree removal, the applicant provided that the tree has caused the foundation damage to the historic garage. To restore the garage and foundation area, the tree roots will need to be cut, which will inevitably kill the tree. An arborist has been to the site and a report has been provided. The former owner of the house planted the tree, and the owner of the house to the south has agreed for the tree to be removed. The replacement tree will be a 3-inch caliber Japanese bloodgood maple. The staff recommendation is staff recommends approval and all clarifications be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of the certificate with the following condition. And the staff recommended condition is the applicant should plant a tree to replace the one that is removed. And the tree type, which has now been provided, and proposed placement should be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of certificate. The basis for staff recommendation is 311611, standards for alteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, and 12. Standards for site improvements A, and Durham Village guidelines for garage and outbuildings 1, 2, and 3. Staff would also like to note that the name of the owner of the property to the south was provided, and we have talked to that owner, but she would prefer not her name not be listed on the materials.
Anything else to add?
No.
Questions, comments from the commission?
Just to clarify, you're constructing an addition to the garage, but does that mean you're removing sort of shed addition that's there now to build the stem wall?
The shed addition is already gone. When
Okay,
I
so
purchased the property.
Yeah, the shed addition does not exist at this
Okay,
time.
so that's
That's
the
not
whole
there.
photo.
Yeah, I can go further. See some photos.
You go to the page 8 of your application, top left photo shows the pad from the previous demolished garage there.
And I believe the old Google photos were provided for the request to see what the addition previously looked like.
So you're building them on that foundation.
Correct.
I didn't verify it, but I'm not sure that the trim dimensions you're calling out are compliant with what the guidelines say. That's like page 83 or something, I can't remember. Do you remember?
Garages and outbuildings.
Yeah, there's a sheet about, well, it's not garage and outbuildings, it's just. Who's it, page 80 something? Keep going, it's got them all.
What's the history of the demolition of the other part of the garage? Was there a COA of that, or?
Yeah, yes.
There was, okay. It looked like it was in pretty bad shape. No desire to recreate what was there?
No.
Had to ask. Gotta do something to make it look different, makes sense.
Right.
But appropriate.
So anyhow, there was somewhere in the guidelines, there's a sheet that calls corner trims, all that kind of stuff. What kind of set me off was the broadband across the door.
Correct.
Probably does not show up as acceptable method of treating overhead door unframed.
Right.
Right.
I guess this one.
There you go. Yep,
Drawing number 17, page 78 of the guidelines.
Okay.
it doesn't address garage or garage doors, but take a look.
You're okay with that?
We can, yes, we are happy to modify that.
Yeah, take a look.
The garage that was removed was from the 60s, the picture title or the caption states. You know that if the foundation that's there is acceptable to modern standards?
We have to rebuild the foundation.
Okay.
Along that entire area. We're basically rebuilding the garage.
Just to fix a footprint.
We're using the brick.
My only question for the commission is going to be if this is essentially, if we're not following, if we're not putting back what was there, do we treat this as a new addition to the garage? Should it be set back from the principal facade of the garage, or should it be flat with the facade as the previous one was?
So I did submit a revision to this application that does set it back. I actually have a copy of it with me if you would like to see it. I thought it would be presented today. I don't see it.
Sure, I'll take a look at that.
I think that would be preferred, yeah.
Would you like me to forward this?
Yeah.
The other question along those lines, Anthony, is the height,
Shines
right?
here.
Right. The little taller than the existing garage.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So you can see it there, and we also reduce the pitch height so that it would be low.
Oh, she just said that now.
Yeah.
Address the stuff that we're gonna.
So if I could just give you an outline of what we, what the revised plan was. I noticed this during the business meeting afterwards. So what I did was, I stepped back the addition 6 inches from the main principal facade, and I reduced the pitch of the gable so that it was lower than the hip roof of the existing garage. And I'll revise the trim to the guidelines.
So. Yes.
Modest.
That's better, makes the addition of secondary something. Yeah, that's good. But we should note this as a modification, and then also the trim at the door is modification. Match the guidelines. Be confirmed by staff. And the roof framing mentioned that the still existing garage, replacing all the roof framing, we're gonna put back the same pitch and everything.
Exactly right.
And look at the. Existing. Raft tails are they currently vertical raft tails or are they angled raft tails?
Which thing is being? The brick.
Okay.
Yeah, they are angled.
They're angled.
Okay.
There's barely any roof left. It's kind of hanging onto its last.
Could be a picture of it, hard to tell.
Yeah,
On the inside.
pretty rough.
Yeah, they're angled.
Okay.
You're gonna need this back so you have your note on okay. I like that we're keeping it boring, but we can.
Yeah, I have to give the owner a lot of credit. She's done a lot of work on this property that's been neglected for a very long time.
So to my comment about that raft tails on the new addition, I want to have those raft tails also cut at an angle for the half rounds. Otherwise, the straight vertical will be more of a case style gutter. So
Right.
Right.
I'll just make a note of that.
Okay, we'll turn
then all door, window, light fixture selections, all that goes to staff.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
The comment that it's not a carriage house.
Yeah.
So noted.
Carriages.
There's no more comments. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item 21 GV 2306-039, 839 South Front Street. I move to approve as revised, resubmitted drawings. What else did we say? Oh, trims are going to match the guidelines and be verified by staff and such.
Rafter tail or the eave.
Rafter tails will be perpendicular cut with a,
And also the thing over the door.
yeah, and that's part of the trims.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Tree? Oh, sign on the tree. The tree room is part of that. If the commission was fine moving it and replacing the.
Yeah.
The Japanese one.
Yeah.
Is that Japanese maple's good choice?
We good?
Second.
Staff, Colin, you okay with getting that drawing, not having a reference prior to seeing it again?
You want this to keep for record?
Is it okay if we retain these for record? Yes. So
Just to make sure when they submit you any kind of application that something that matches.
yeah, exactly.
All right. We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I did. Okay, 2 seconds. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna head to item number 22, GV-23-06-040, 611 South Fifth Street. I have to recuse myself.
Yes.
Okay. If you would, please raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Yes. And please state your name for the record.
David Smith.
Thank you.
Brent Racer.
Thank you.
This is a request for action. It's an exterior building alteration to a garage addition to construct to construct a second floor garage addition on the existing two-car garage footprint, to install new board and batten siding on the first floor, to install a shingle roof on the garage addition to match existing and a metal roof on the dormer, to install a new light fixture above the garage door, to install a new window on the second floor south elevation, and on the north elevation, install a new door and concrete landing on the first floor and a new window on the second floor, to install a new skylight for submitted plans, and to install slate siding to match existing. The following is taken from the approved December 1st, 2021 GVC minutes. Commissioner comments. Commissioners inquired of how much of the new second floor addition will be visible from the South Fifth Street. Applicant responded that it is hardly visible. Commissioners didn't have any issue with the new proposed design of the garage with a lower ridge line and smaller dormer, and agreed that the garage looked improved. Commissioner Hartke asked if the work can be done without destroying the large trees in the rear of the property. Applicant stated that the lower ridge line helps, but some of the tree limbs will need to be cut back to help to preserve them. And the applicant has to speak to the neighbor about preserving the trees. Staff analysis at the June business meeting, the commission had no comments or feedback for the applicant. And the staff recommendation, and the staff recommends approval with any and all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of the certificate. And this is the basis for staff recommendation is the standards for alteration 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Anything else to add?
Simply about the tree, a previous storm actually took out the limb that we thought was gonna have to be cut back, so we won't have to do any tree trimming any longer, so. Happy to answer any questions.
Nature did it for you.
Okay.
I will make a note that typically, having attached garages that we would not approve, but it's existing condition. It's an only concern. The biggest concern is in the second floor on the garage and taking the existing connector basically straight through. It's creating the choo-choo effect, which is something we try to get against. I'm not sure if there's an architectural solution to that.
What we've done before, Anthony, is have that roof not extend, kind of have a gable end. Right? I don't know if that's appropriate here or not. We created a weird condition. If there was an application last Monday, did that?
That also wasn't garage. It was an addition. Yeah, not sure.
I think what would be helpful for this application, typically require this for a carriage house, although this is attached. But we'd like to see the alley or the street elevation that the garage is on to compare how its height to those other buildings. A little tricky because it's actually attached garage, so it's a little different situation, but that way we want to see how this is kind of contribute to that streetscape there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. This is the former one
correct.
before, okay. So, trying to remember where we are.
Right, yep. As you can imagine, with Macon Alley being there and being shallow, it's almost impossible to get a really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you actually have houses on Macon there, right?
Yeah.
So you had 3 in there, 2 in, one in is confirmed. Okay. That's usually, okay. So it's within. Have you done the map to know if it's within the average of those? Typically, we like it to be no more than the average height of those. It's not any taller than the existing ones.
The answer is yes.
Short, no. Yeah, the short answer to that question would be no.
I mean, obviously, the second story of that garage is substantially lower than the house to the north, and it's lower than the house to the south as well.
So that house is 15, or what house is facing the alley at the
Yeah, does that say 14? I can't see it.
certainly shorter than the average of all houses on the street. But
Yeah.
thinking about the facades facing that, the garages. Trying to think back to this conceptual review back for 2 years now. Usually pretty good about remembering, but just this one's escaping me. Trying to make sure I'm not like going back on statements I made back then.
I know the two main comments that we heard was the dormer to be reduced, which it has been, and the ridge line being pulled, which that also has.
I think what, remember, what got me there was that piece was again, not having the dormer extend larger, the fact that we were already connected, we're not increasing the footprint. And if you look at it from the public right of way, to the most quote unquote egregiousness angle is basically blocked by the adjacent property. I think that's what got me there.
It looks like a garage that's not attached from the front or the alley, basically is what you're getting at, right?
Right. You can't really see the attachment from public way.
And that alley escape was helpful to see that.
Any other applications that didn't have the attached garage already there, would not, they probably get the attachment approved. Okay.
It meets the addition requirements, how the walls are longer than existing walls, it's even shorter than the existing house.
Yep.
That's helpful. Make it out as interesting, that's garage and residence.
I do think having the sloped pitch roof facing the alley as opposed to the gable end is definitely helping.
I mean, it feels like it really cleans up that alley. I mean, it clears up some of the funky architecture of the backside of our house, but it also just kind of just cleans up the back from the alley view a lot is our feeling.
Ties that gable over that, yeah.
Even if it does that, yeah.
Yeah.
And that what we call the turret
Yeah.
kind of minimizes that, which isn't an original detail.
On the board of bed siding, did you call it materials? Didn't dig into that deep.
We sent that in.
Was it wood or was it?
The board and batten,
Yeah.
we would use like a cementitious product, like a hardy plank or.
So this is a part of the main structure, so hardy plank wouldn't be allowed.
So we have approved hardy plank, large field panel board. We have because of the flat good, yeah. Boral doesn't have that.
Got it.
The trim, we have not approved the hardy trim pieces for the battens.
So we've been using the cedar for
Cedar
that.
or boral or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
We can use that for the
Yeah.
strips. But the board itself, we approved.
Because they don't have the sheet pieces for boral.
Yeah, we're happy to use the boral strips. Used those before.
Window trim details. Is that coming from existing details you're carrying through?
The shed dormer that's on the other facing south, facing right.
Yeah.
It's facing south, has a similar detail. It's hard to. Yeah.
I'm looking at the windows on the garage. The trim detail is looking a lot more ornate than what's on the rest of the structure. And typically the garage addition or any addition would have simpler details than what the primary structure has. It just feels heavy architecturally on the garage compared to primary.
Almost foreign to the site, right?
Yeah. I know on the other side, you had the kind of that octagonal-ish kind of addition, so maybe there's something on that side that's feeding to it. I think the more simpler you can get with the details, it's
pretty simple on the rest of the house, so we're certainly open to mimicking that.
Correct.
Yeah, rather than.
Or doing, just making it as simple as clean as possible.
Yeah.
Sill, case opening.
Yeah. Other than that, I think I'm good.
I'm thinking whether
You're close.
the rafters that come down could extend a little further just to shorten the forehead on the alley elevation.
Bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, it just seems like it's tall where the lamps are over the garage doors.
That was part of the thinking of using those, which are all over the village, those kind of gooseneck farm type lights that come out there, was to help fill that void.
Well, there's a olive breaking down because of those.
Yeah, just a little further, so it just, right now it sticks out 1 foot, so it stick out 1'6" and further down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the original wish back.
Yeah.
That would work.
These are a lot of tweaks. How do we feel about?
Yeah, how do we list all these?
So the running tally right now is the trim detail on the windows or whatnot, the extension of the overhang rack tails. Is that it so far?
I feel like it was more, but maybe I'm wrong. We had a lot of conversation.
Yeah, that was it.
I think that was it. Tricky job.
Additionally, there was call for the siding material, just.
Yeah.
Yeah, board back material to make it right.
Okay. Probably the board and battens also making it look taller. The forehead.
For clarity, the application has been amended to be board and batten sheets with floral strips. Simplify the trim around the door, what you've got on the dormer is actually pretty simple, right? And then extend the eaves, right?
Extending roof line.
Yeah. Staff feel comfortable with that? Staff feel comfortable with being able to track those?
Be able to,
Track those and review those when you get the actual application?
so staff approving the
Yeah.
revisions?
Yeah.
I think so. We would just want to clarify with the commission that the board and batten siding is smooth. It's going to be a boral product. If that's appropriate.
Well, our understanding is Boral doesn't make them.
Well, doesn't make the large flat sheet good.
No, she's talking about not wood grain.
If anything,
Oh, yeah,
it's not the big grade.
Smooth, not the big wood ring.
Yes.
We're good with that, right?
Yes, yeah. I wasn't following that either, so I appreciate the clarification.
But yes, we can track those changes and make the staff approval, or not staff approval, but yeah, follow.
Sure, this way, and if it's unclear, it can always be brought back here.
Absolutely. You know, one other comment I would have is the skylights, if we look for the more low profile. Haven't seen anything reasonable to be installed lately, but for a while there was a big push with all hats on top of the roof, so. The lower the profile, the better.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions?
Make a motion, if I don't hear anything, to approve item 22 GB 23 06 040 611 South Fifth Street with the amendments that we just ran through for staff. Yeah, that's the motion.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Totally good on those amendments?
Yes.
All right, any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Moving ahead to item number 23. GB-23-06-041, 147 Thurman Avenue. And if you would, please raise your right hands. Please swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Yes.
Please state your names for the record.
Logan Fitch.
Eric Cheryl.
This is a request for action. The proposed work description is an exterior building alteration for stairs, porches, and windows. To remove an existing deteriorated wooden front steps on the north elevation, and to construct a new poured concrete front porch and stairs with welded steel guard or handrail with welded steel vertical balusters on the north elevation. To remove the existing deteriorated metal spiral stair on the east elevation, and to remove the existing rear east elevation brick stoop. To construct new wood front porch roof and columns on the east elevation. To construct and enlarge a side brick patio stoop. To construct a second floor wood roof terrace, composite wood deck over rubber roof on the east elevation. To add a new rear entry door by enlarging one window opening and one small wood stair and landing with cantilevered wood awning with shingles to match existing on the south elevation. And to remove one east elevation window on the rear. Staff analysis is at the June business meeting, the commission requested more photos of the porch, the date of the spiral stair, and a photo from the right of way showing visibility of the existing spiral stair and sample maps. The applicant provided additional photos, and staff added some staff have updated some undated older photos, some photos from 1996 and sample maps. The staff recommendation: the staff recommends that the commission offer feedback and continue the application to allow time for the applicant to provide updated materials and some product information. If the commission does approve the application, staff would recommend the condition be placed that final material selection be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to the certificate. The basis for the staff recommendation is 311611, standards for alteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Thurman Village guidelines for porches and stoops 2 and 3 and 4.
Anything else to add?
We don't have anything to add other than, if there are portions of the work that could be broken out, that could be approved, for example, the replacement of the window, or repair of the windows, the enlargement of the openings, the owner is interested in starting the work, and those things would help to secure the envelope in order to start the interior work while we maybe work through a couple of the details of the front porch covers and back porch covers. So if you see a portion of the work that you feel comfortable breaking out, then if not, we'll have a discussion about it.
Yep. And then you mentioned the materials for a possible continuance. The windows are going to remain. They're actually all relatively operable, just minor repairs. And if we are able to get an approval, we could submit to staff for a standard German Village Commission approved front and rear entry door. Just FYI.
All right, for the commission, questions, comments? Discussion.
Was there a front porch on the north elevation?
Yes.
Looks like
It appears. Yes.
Very tiny. Oh. In the bottom, one corner.
You mentioned making an opening bigger.
For a rear entry door. So there's a window on that rear elevation.
Okay.
So we would just continue that opening down. I think you can see it.
It's on sheet.
On south elevation, okay, gotcha. Yep, sorry, I missed that.
No, sorry, it's for a door.
On that south elevation proposed door, right now it looks like it's aligned left with the window above as opposed to aligned center. Is there a reason for not having it centered like a typical door would be?
Hold on, I'm looking at the plan. Be a drafting error.
Yeah, we wouldn't have an issue either way.
Yeah, we can center that door. It conflict, it probably
If
conflicts
the code-
with the code closet a little bit, so it's probably the reason why it was placed there, in order to get a coat closet behind that, door.
I'm not sure that totally how it has to be centered. I'm just asking the question. So,
That would be the reason,
I have no objections to anything they're doing in concept. Just think some of the detailing needs to be worked on a little better. Especially with trims, some other stuff, and how the porch relates to the existing corner that it's in.
Are you talking the front porch?
Yeah, the front porch. I think it ought to be pulled back a little bit from east elevation, that corner.
to, provide more distance from the front face of the front
In
building.
that corner,
Yeah, okay.
front porch talking about.
yeah. Yeah, just little stuff like that.
Sure.
I think it just makes it work a little better. You've got it flush right now, I don't think that's best.
Joyce has just pointed out, I want to draw attention to the triple slider door.
Mhm.
There is an existing opening.
It's a window currently, I think.
Yeah. and
Air
it's not-
windows. Yeah,
That's a pretty significant change to the historic structure. I don't think that would be a good idea.
I agree.
You understand the concern?
Would a scaled down version be more appropriate? You know, maybe not
We don't,
a
I mean,
full,
that's the historic fenestration.
Yeah, and you've already got a door there.
would we, you know, if we kept it to a single, would that be a little more appropriate in the commission's eyes? You know,
You're talking about just keeping the existing opening size.
keep the existing, and then, you know, just the door, it allows some circulation off the kitchen design as currently designed. Maybe something less robust,
It's
but
the location of the door you're trying to get, basically. I'm hearing you right from a plan standpoint.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the relationship of that door, I mean, one of those windows could be turned into a single, full light swing door.
What's nice about that, I mean, that's restorable. Got the existing little. I don't know.
They're taking out the historic brick material.
Well, it's brick there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole different story.
I think that's gonna be a hard sell.
Yeah.
The elevations were showing siding, so I was thrown off there.
I think there ought to be some discussion also about the railing styles that you guys are showing on that second floor porch and the first floor porch, front porch.
is there a tolerance for brick removal depending on where that floor plate actually lies on that elevation?
I mean, you've got an existing stone sill, existing stone lintel. Very clear historic.
Typically, we don't open up the brick wall unless there's history, evidence of there being a full opening there previously. There is Steph was pointing to that, there's a bricked in opening there. Could that be utilized?
It could be. That almost looks like it's, deeper, like I don't see in that photo, I don't see the bottom sill. Yeah, it's a window.
Or a previous exterior door, because that Bilco door goes right to the basement.
Yeah.
Listen, I'd be out there, take a look and see what's there. Is the brick too thin below where there would have been a sill? Is it a door that got locked up and then they put a basement door in? A little bit investigative work there.
Right now, it's being restored to a window. It's a plan looks like. What was a window? That's being.
Right now, it's leaving it blocked.
Okay.
The second.
It'll hit the.
Yeah.
Jigger. Yeah, just goes onto the stairwell.
I mean, I don't know if that helps you too much, or either walking through the stairway out, then
Through the dining room out, right?
Right. Well, the dining room, that's that existing opening, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yep.
we have no problem.
Again, the intention was just circulation.
Yeah.
So in your folks' mind, that opening that's currently bricked in would be potentially a location where we could put a door.
I would think it would be an opening you could restore.
I think it depends on it. Was it original window or is it a door?
Yeah, which is hard to tell with this, because there's no sill. But
Yeah.
there is a line where some of the brick's too thin, some of it's not above, and then it's not too thin below that, where that cable comes down, right?
Well, regardless, it was probably a miss on our end and we'll open that opening regardless, whether it's a window or a door, just to get some more light into the foyer, especially with the existing.
Yeah, you can get a window there.
The header in.
Yeah.
Definitely a window, potentially a door, depending on what was there. If you could tell what was the original window there would be nice. Going back to Ned's comment about the front porch. So the photo on this page, the bottom photo, shows that porch going out to the edge almost. Looks, it's hard to tell, but
Helpful photo.
Pilaster setback.
There.
It's a flat roof porch.
Yeah.
is that photo to be better in person than what's scanned here?
Yes.
Might be good to try to get it better.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we'll get
something
better.
Closer,
Yeah.
something closer to that. I mean, your columns are a little smaller. You've got slope. It looks like that's flat, or at least
It
it's
does.
maybe sloped to the.
Yeah, we had a pitched front porch cover, so we can use that photo. But it certainly seems like it's got a piece that's in front of the front plane of the building.
Yeah. That
If
sticks out.
you go back to what that is, that kind of gives you that path to do that.
Absolutely.
If you're not gonna go back to what was there, then it needs to be more
Yeah,
as if it was a new porch kind of approach.
I mean, I think that we probably chase trying to restore it to that.
I love the
Yep.
thickness of those columns.
Mhm.
Nice.
That almost looks like a entry vestibule. Is that enclosed?
I don't think so.
I can't tell from,
The Sanborn map shows
A
the,
porch.
yeah,
okay.
In the picture, I have no idea what that. I don't think it's really a middle column.
that thing in the middle.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what that is.
I think it's hair in the photo.
Okay.
we'd be comfortable kind of placing
We gotta
that.
duplicate
light
that, obviously, if our art.
Architecturally, that would be a really cool feature to have like
Yeah.
air in the fabric of life right there in the middle of that porch.
You can see some semblance of what was going on with that stair, balcony they had there previously in those photos too. Very.
So is there any issue with the planning commission regarding putting in that, the balcony in lieu of the, what's there currently?
Spiral stair.
Any problems with the details there?
No.
Well, I would, yeah,
That, we would-
like, I think we need to have a better idea what the railing detail is and how it's, some dimensions on that and what it's made of. What the
Yeah.
finish is, that kind of thing. depending on what they do with the front porch, I think this ought to be the same.
Those beefier columns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the two porches need to be of the same architectural character.
Sure.
So we haven't done as much work in German Village. What would be the ideal precedent here? You know, a wood or like a steel, black steel? Is there
The
a,
porch construction?
no, for the actual guardrails within German Village, like,
Oh,
you know, in Italian Village, we do a lot of, you know, black steel, vertical.
Yeah.
yellow. If there's-
I'm not saying this is wrong,
Oh, no, I'm just curious,
You
just.
just
we-
need more information.
just
on
more
it.
information about what
Okay.
it is, yeah.
Well, I think, given the feedback that conceptually no one is wanting to throw up in their mouth, that we can continue to develop this and, come back with the additional details you need and.
See if there's any evidence on the brick where the porch roofs tie in stuff, like see if there's any evidence of paint slop or something, anything old that might give you an
Sure.
clue up. You guys know.
In terms of the porch railing, question for the commission, typically we go simpler on the railings, a lot of times it's just a single horizontal pipe. Are we looking for picket rails on that one side of the porch as shown,
It looks like
the front porch?
On the front porch.
it may be high enough that it's fall condition requires.
Yeah.
Guardrail. It may be required.
Maybe not.
No.
Now it's like it's below 30.
But that's the question I have, is are we looking for more traditional, the pipe rail, barring evidence of something more ornate in the past?
Pictures cut off, which is interesting.
I think it's up to them.
I feel like you're probably trying to tie the two together a little bit. which we don't-
Yeah, we'd like, just from that elevation, we'll match them. We can put something together.
Cool.
And then not shown was a miss on our end. This is, per the new zoning plan, gonna get a two-car garage. Nothing crazy, just a standard two-car garage. Is there a standard, roof pitch, sconce lighting that is most appropriate? I mean, we're not gonna reinvent the wheel or push the envelope on the garage. It's gonna be a
I
standard
think the guy,
lap siding.
the guidelines would probably have.
There's actually a garage in the guy,
Yeah.
our garage.
There is?
Yeah,
Is that staff approval if it matches?
probably not, but.
Okay.
Yeah, she's shaking her head.
Okay.
I'm sure if you copy that, you're probably golden.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
Garage, not a carriage house.
It's on page,
Correct. I remember that meeting a
Garage
while ago, yes.
so this is a standard, one-car garage detailed out on page 116 of the guidelines. It's under the new construction for garages. I'd say go there, take your cues from there.
Yep.
Great.
Would a two-car garage in this instance have two doors or one door?
Probably two.
Terribly preferred.
Unless there's some hardship case that you
Yeah,
could
maybe
make,
it's too
but
narrow or something with turning, yeah, things like that. We'll look at
I
it,
think
but-
the paving width is 20 feet.
20, it's tight.
It's tight.
On that new, that was a while ago, that zoning, plat we did.
I mean.
but you also have,
The ability to move the garage back a little bit.
yeah, you got space between
Yeah.
the house and the garage that you can pull the garage back to mitigate that as opposed to.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends if there's another garage directly across the street that's right on the alley.
You got an extra 2 feet on the side if you gotta make it wider to accommodate.
Okay.
So with all that, what next to do? Needs to continue,
Is there-
not sure.
Portion that you want to break out and request a motion on, or are you?
Yeah, it sounds, I mean,
Okay.
I think we need to see the whole composition.
Okay.
There's so many parts, in my opinion, but so many.
I agree.
Okay.
Continue it.
Yeah, that's.
yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, item 23 GB 2306-041 147 Thurmont Avenue. I move to continue.
Second,
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Item number 24, GB-23-06-042 743 Yeager Street. And if you would please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, all truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay. Please state your name for the record. Your name, ma'am?
Mary Connolly Ross.
Yours?
Pat Ryan.
Thank you very much.
This is a request for action for landscaping for a brick wall replacement. To replace a damaged masonry retaining wall and iron fence on the front east elevation by rebuilding the 2 retaining walls without brick pillars. The brick retaining wall to be 20 inches high and top of wrought iron fencing painted black. The wrought iron fence to be used and also fabricated, or to be used as in reused from the property, and also fabricated to match the original. Brick used will be Glengarry Augusta clay or Belgian Belcrest 760. And the paint will be, for painting the wrought iron will be Benjamin Moore's black ink. It's 212720. Retain all plants and foliage, including a Japanese weeping maple, 2 rhododendron, and 2 azaleas. And to plant 4 bobo hydrangeas and 1 green mountain boxwood. The staff analysis at the June business meeting, the commission asked, what is the height of the existing fence and pillars and how does it compare to the proposed? And asked if the wrought iron fence be what is existing, newly fabricated or reclaimed elsewhere. The applicant responded to say that the height of the new wall will be 43 inches high, the same height as the existing wall. The brick retaining wall will be 20 inches high, and will be topped with the existing 23-inch high wrought iron. And the wrought iron will be fabricated to match existing. So yeah, top with the existing 23-inch high wrought iron, and then also the wrought iron will be fabricated. The wrought iron will be painted Benjamin Moore's black ink. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends the commission offer feedback and continue the application to allow the applicant time to revise their design to better align with Drummond Village guidelines and city code. Staff recommends for the discussion, the commission consider if they would allow a new brick wall to be constructed. And if removing the entire brick wall is a large enough change, the commission could consider requiring the applicant to leave the brick wall removed and replaced with a more appropriate fencing. The basis for the staff recommendation is 311613 standards for site improvements, A and B, and Drummond Village guidelines for fences and walls, page 117, and then 1, 2, and 7.
Anything else to add? Questions, comments from the commission?
Couple of questions about the proposed version that's not the replacement kind.
Okay, I can barely hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Couple questions about the proposed version that's not the replacement in kind. The existing wall does not have a stone cap. It has a roll lock. The intent to go back with a roll lock or to go back? with the
Roll lock, that's just our software could not depict the roll lock.
Got it.
We needed some sort of cap, I figured.
The same question with the fence style.
Correct, that's
Style.
no spears, it's just.
It would match the other.
Yes.
Got it.
You're reusing some of the existing fence, right? Yeah,
We plan on using it all.
okay.
So basically,
Yeah.
you'd just be taking the
And the
piers off.
The reason for those piers is right there, I can make that work. I can cut back the lilac without killing it or tie it up. On the right side, there's no way that I can save that Japanese maple and those 2 rhododendron. That would have to come out. I can't work, there's a pillar or a pier right in the middle of that, and I could not work around that.
Rhododendron is the state flower of West Virginia.
It is, yeah, one of my favorites. And they're 2 gorgeous ones.
Yeah.
And that, that Japanese maple's been there forever.
Long time.
Basically, this is replacing kind without the brick piers.
Yeah. Well, typically we wouldn't actually allow a fence on it wall down, right? So,
Well, this is also a case of it's a retaining wall. It's
Yeah, it is
Oh, it is.
retaining.
Yeah, it's still under height.
I'm okay with the option myself. Makes sense. I'd like to save those beautiful plants as well.
Mr. Chairman, item GB 24 GB 2306042, 743 Yeager Street. I move to approve this submitted.
Second.
Verification on the motion, roll lock cap, and fence style matching system.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 25, UEF 23-043. Anybody here for 251 Jackson Street?
The applicant said they're not going to be in attendance today, but they would like to be on the July agenda, so we can continue.
Okay, continue. Is there a motion to continue? Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor? Last item on the agenda, item 26, GB-23-06-044, 747 City Park Avenue. Let the record show the applicant was previously sworn in, so we'll keep that swearing on record. Thank you. How you doing?
This is a conceptual application. The proposed work description includes a variance recommendation. It's 3332.037 R2F residential district, permit 2 detached dwelling units on the same parcel, consisting of a single-family dwelling unit fronting City Park Avenue and a proposed attached carriage house. Section 3312.49, minimum number of parking spaces required to reduce parking for 2 dwelling units from 4 spaces to 2 spaces. 3332.05, area district lot width requirements to reduce the lot width from 50 feet to 26 feet. 3332.14 R2F area district requirements to reduce the lot area from 6,000 square feet required for a principal structure to 4,875 square feet lot area, and to reduce the lot area to 2,028 square feet pursuant to section 3332.18C existing. 333219, fronting to permit the carriage house to not front on the public street. 3332.26, minimum side yard permitted to reduce the north side yard of the carriage house from 3 feet to 2.5 feet, and to reduce the north side yard of the existing single-family dwelling from 3 to 1.4 feet. And 3332.27, rear yard to reduce the rear yard from 25% area lot area, 25% of lot area behind each dwelling to 25% rear yard for the existing house, and from 25 to 0% for the carriage house. This is also for new construction to construct an additional dwelling unit at the rear of the property along Pearl with the attached garage, measuring 19 feet, 19 feet, 10 inches, 10 and 5/8 inch high, 40 feet long, and 20 feet by 6 inches of width. It'll have 2 parking spaces in the garage, 1,070 square feet of living space on the first and second floor, plus an outdoor balcony area, CMU walls on the first level, and cement board siding on the second level. Wood panel garage door will be a Clopay, I apologize for that typo, Canyon Ridge modern door. Fixed windows from the approved list. Roofing to be Tamco antique slate and standard Freetown. And other details including a flue pipe, vent trellis, and balcony with black metal with horizontal cables. Staff analysis that the commission has reviewed a submission for a carriage house at 747 City Park in the past is GB 22-12-035. But this application is conceptual, includes major changes from previously discussed design. At the June business meeting, the commission had no comments or feedback for the applicant at that time. Staff recommendation is that staff recommends the commission offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine their proposal for a review at a future GBC meeting. The basis for staff recommendation, noting there is no action required, is 311612, Standards for New Construction, CDF and K. German Village Guidelines for New Buildings, Garages, and Outbuildings, 191113.
Anything else to add?
Most of you probably saw a previous version of this additional dwelling unit. The owners of this had set with that idea for a while and decided that it was not the direction they wanted to go in. So we revised it based on their comments. I will say that the second level is non-inhabitable. It is a wet bar floor plan. Thank you very much. The owners wish to use it as an additional working area. I think that's all I have to say.
So a restroom but no kitchen, right?
Correct.
Was this the one that had the 3 windows on it that was kind of high pitched previously?
That was previous,
Yeah.
correct, and it had 2 dormers, almost the full length, to get the head height. One of the challenges we're having is to get the head height on the second level. We're just really having a hard time to be below the bungalow that's in the front of, that is the house on the front of the property. The owners did look at possibly doing a lot split. We talked them out of doing that, and have come up with this design solution for them.
There is a full bath on the first.
The first level.
It looks like there's a full kitchen on the second floor.
Say again?
It looks like there's a full kitchen, there's a refrigerator.
It's just a countertop because there's really no place for, there's just, they're having a work study there. They'll have some, lounge living area. There's no kitchen, there's no stove, I should say. There's a refrigerator. There is a sink. There is no stove.
Push it a little bit close. I think typically we've said no sink, right? Yep. Yeah. That's just typical, or I think this.
No sink.
Yeah.
I will say that the way that city has been interpreting
Doesn't matter.
code, it kind of negates anything there.
Because now they call it dwelling in the code.
Regardless.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
It's slurry dwelling. Biggest issue for me is the loss of parking, because there was off-street parking at the back of the lot.
Mhm.
And then if you're basically
Well,
adding an additional dwelling unit, then, it requires the variance for parking.
Mhm.
And it increases
Correct.
parking.
Yeah, but increases the.
In the past, and I apologize, the person that was previously presenting this is no longer with me, but there was a suggestion that we submit a letter to our neighbors of the property to actually bring this particular addition up, and as well as the comment about the parking. And that is the lot right there where that car is parked. I mean, you could get tandem parking, but you cannot get more than, the double width. It's a pretty narrow lot.
It's 26 foot wide, so
Um,
9 foot wide parking stall, you get two
Yeah.
officially.
Yeah, that's it. It's more narrow property than, like that property just to the north on that site drawing there. You can see where if they did a lot split, see how there's a garage on that property to the north? Yeah. So they have enough width to do that. We do not. So there's just no way to get the additional parking even with an additional, to do a lot split, so. We did do sort of a street study, just looking at the streetscape. I think that might be in there. If not, I do have copies. That's landscaping. No, it's not in that packet. I do have copies if you're interested in looking at it, just to see how it compares through the rhythm
Just to
of
the-
the streetscape.
Just to the north, you had two doubles, 1.5 floor doubles.
Yeah.
On the side of the street, the other side,
Yeah.
you have the,
And then the adjacent lot is just a service lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Thank you.
Then the applicant we saw earlier is the other direction.
Right.
So-
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we are shorter than our neighbors.
So Laura, the standard we use, by the way. Where I say it, I love it. I do love it, but I want to talk about the standard. I want one. For new construction, there's three things we look at: massing, materials, and detailing.
Mhm.
Typically, what the guidelines say is to vary one, right? Most to make sure that it is compatible but different. And in some instances, it's okay to vary two. I would say you're probably leaning towards varying all three. The massing, while the height is good, it's not a pitched roof, it's a flat roof and all those things. Those are the challenges I think we're gonna have to walk through on this, to see if this would even be approvable. So that's just, I guess, to lay the lay of the land a little bit on how the guidelines look at new buildings.
Sure.
I said exactly what I was gonna say. It feels like all three are being altered. Yeah, it's the narrow lot, as we stated before, basically dropping a block on that lot is what's happening here. There is some architectural language from the prior application to the south of rectilinear, but not full 2-floor rectilinear. To the north, there's not the artificial language to kind of speak to this. Across the street is outside the bounds of the village. So there's differing opinions on how much weight we take into that. But I think that's kind of what's you're competing with or trying to fit with in that space.
Sure.
I know the previous conceptual hearing on the old design, previous design, 1 door versus 2 doors. Typically 2 is what we'd be looking for. In this case, we're going back to 1 again. So kind of.
The challenge with that is the width of the building and the ability to get 2 doors in it and actually fit the cars in the doors.
Because of the width of the lot.
Because of the width of the lot. I mean, we're under certain constraints because of the width of the lot. I can't make that garage any smaller and fit 2 cars in it. And if I go to 2 garage doors, I have to have, the smallest I can go is an 8-foot door, and I still need a center pier plus the exterior wall thickness and be able to open up I can't get it. I did try, because I do think it looks better.
Yeah. I think it's feeding to the block, large mass imposing.
I mean, and I think these straight on renderings or elevations are a little challenging. If you go to the 3D view of the front, for example, we are recessing that back to give it some depth on that front elevation. Again, it's a little challenging to try and get. So this idea of a porch or a living area off of a street, we are not going to get it because we have a big garage door there. So kind of taking an idea, design idea of a living space on the front of a building that people use as porch. Instead, we use it as sort of an inset here. So kind of taking a traditional idea of design and try to reinterpret it into what we can do on the project. Again, if I do the gable, I'm losing so much square footage on the inside. I basically have a narrow line down the center with very little livable space. It almost makes it impractical to do the project.
I think, just thinking it through and trying to find a path for this. That thing you started to talk about, how that inset is perhaps pulled from historical context, providing the historical context pictures of those types of things, and maybe even starting to pull and think about how you're providing modern takes on traditional details. Could be something that could start to get us there. We had a similar Mark Hours project that was very modern, and it took 5 times through, I think, conceptual review to get us there. We did get there eventually.
And the one that's near Schmidt's, was that an addition to a historic house? I can't remember. Is that an outbuilding?
Sure was.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking through, there's
The one that caused Schmidt?
the ones that cause the most ruckus, there's always a more modern design that would be, so that's one. I think of Mark Hours' addition, his garage, but even his garage, I'm looking it up, it's very traditional facing the street, very modern facing the yard.
And it didn't start that way, it got that way through the process.
Yeah, there's a couple other, there are Hours road art projects that are more modern, speaking to the old, maybe a handful in the past couple of years. One was pretty contentious, it was over by Village on Eagle Lot.
Bill Main's is not as contemporary as this. But, it's living quarters above the garage. It's on, where's that?
It's Hugus.
I didn't mean to say Main's, I meant to say Hugus, yeah. It's near Franklin Art Class.
The one on Lear, there's one on Lear Street that we started to look at as sort of direction.
And that one actually.
My point of view is
was a
that would
lot.
not be anything to use for direction. Found it disruptive and should not be approved. I think your building is great architecture, but this says nothing to me about German Village. I look at this and I want to be near the beach. California or even East Coast, New Jersey.
What is on the edge of the village?
That's true. And pro or con, for me, anything across the street, you don't have to respond to. Has nothing to do with it, what's inside.
There was a large discussion about that when the hotel project on Livingston came through.
Yep.
Yeah, whether or not things outside
Mhm.
could be considered, and we landed on no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
You know, there's one very modern garage project that recently came. Highly contentious. It ended up squeaking by approval. I thought it was over
Butterfly roofs.
one north from East Whittier, the alley, that dead ends over
Are you
into.
talking about the one that I have to explain to everybody in the Macon Valley, Bacon Alley, why it got passed?
Maybe.
with the deck.
Yeah,
The cube.
there's one in
It
Macon.
was a Mark Hours application. It was a,
Block.
That was Hugus.
it was the street that dead ends into Giant Eagle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hugus did.
Okay. And then there was another one that I think she brought her lawyer in. It's like the cute building with the rooftop.
Oh, you're
patio.
talking.
Well, that's over by our playground.
Yeah, it's no different. Yeah.
It's not as modernist as this one is though.
Traditional box.
Yeah, not modernist, contemporary.
Yeah, issues that third floor deck.
Yeah, and it's hard to, so that's the feedback we have, Lori.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it's difficult. And I knew this was gonna be a fun, end to your day. And we're committed to working with you to, get, so we can get everybody happy, in a comfortable spot. So, we're happy to get the feedback and, we will continue to press.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struck by, so it's a garage, but we saw a garage earlier that was cinder block, that was the stamped, like maybe there's a way to play on that, right, in your base. The garage door itself is very foreign to anything we have, the way it's stripped,
Yeah.
I think there is something about the composition you're trying to create on the upper floor that could start to, and that's gonna totally disagree, that's okay. It's gonna start to, figure out, okay, this is going around and here's a historic precedence and here's a modern take on it, here's this precedence, and here's a modern take on it, it starts to help.
Yeah.
Because then we could at least say, okay, while the detailing is different, it's inspired by or, matches, compatible with. The flat roof, massing is gonna be hard, I don't know how we get there, we just gotta think about that.
So I think we're giving Mark Hours, the second floor was pushed back and the railing, the balcony was there, so the mass of the building was further back.
Yeah. Yeah, which is it's different than the design you have, where you've got projecting the opposite, but he stepped it back to start to get that massing away from the alley.
Yeah.
Helped us. It would totally change what you're doing though.
Yeah, right.
Only other rectilinear blocky 2-floor garage working space that I've seen get approved was Jonathan Barnes. They're gonna be doing next to the book loft, but that was
Way in the back.
that property, and they went with brick, more workshop, old world workshop.
It was actually look back property, it wasn't an alley situation. Yeah.
So
Like warehouse.
that's how they got their 2-story block, is because it was those conditions.
And the book loft is tall buildings, so the massing kind of worked.
It's tucked back in here.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're coming up against a short-staffed commission, so you have to have the full 7 vote, so.
Okay, trying to think if there's anything else. Karen, would you comment about the landscaping plan?
I thought the landscape plan, looks, from what I could tell from that, looks fine. The issue that I'm struggling with is overdevelopment of the lot. So I was just looking back at the variance to see how much over, I know it was red, but I was trying to see.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that concerns me. I think.
And you mean by building or by hardscaping or both?
Both.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what we did, which actually is hard to see on there, but you'll see a sort of a half curve. We're actually removing a portion of the brick and putting back in grass.
Yeah.
And planting right there, thank you. And because there is so much brick in the backyard right now,
It does have.
yeah. And that half of the garage is basically gravel right now, so.
So the intent, I guess, is that's a shared space then for both units.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the design of the yard space. I'm just, like I said, I'm just struggling with what I feel like is a lot of structure.
Karen, does it help you that some of these lots aren't full depth and that they're actually structures on both sides, just down the street? Does that help it from a concept?
Yeah, and I don't think, if you did an actual lot split, you wouldn't.
You make it worse.
You'd make it worse.
Exactly right, it'd be worse.
Space.
Yeah.
But all those existing ones are well
Yeah.
that are split.
But, typically, what has been the case in the past, when someone was trying to enter into that development ratio, they were providing additional parking spaces, in a garage structure or something of that sort, and it was always justified because for that reason, you're taking cars off the street. And so this is the opposite situation where you're bringing more potential cars in and removing the parking, so.
We didn't talk about that because I have a really hard time with that. I think the neighbors will too.
That's the.
And I think there's a parking committee in the village that will also.
Mhm.
Anecdotally, I mean, I looked at 33 East Columbus, 37, I can't remember if you're at Bliss. Honestly, down there, it's a little easier. Now Antiques and High and all that is developed and probably made that a little harder since the Brewery District started developing down there. You get the other neighbor to open that big lot.
Yeah.
I mean, parking arrangements.
Some kind of,
Parcel we should consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
There's an
go a
opportunity
long
to
way.
say, hey, they'll provide they've got at least 6 or 7 spaces there. I mean, there are deficits.
Okay.
And I mean, we have had applications where those kinds of things have been done to provide access or to provide parking.
Or restaurants.
Yeah.
Might have done that a few times myself. Never on a residential project, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, a restaurant or something, right?
Yeah.
I hope we figure it out.
Yes, I sincerely appreciate the feedback. Thank you so much for sticking around and talking to me about it.
All right, no action necessary. Any old business? We do? Done?
Just, it's not official old business, but just an announcement. Thanks to Commissioner Foley, because his term expires on Friday 30th.
Oh, yeah.
We do have a card that's signed by the office to renew the land.
My interim, that may turn into a full depending on how things go.
Sorry, what was that called?
Well, am I gone, or I said I would stay on as needed, or?
Feel replaced. What I understand from talking to Jamie and Belkis is that, when your term, because you're not being reappointed, then your term ends on Friday 30th. But I'll confirm with them and send you an email.
You could always resign later. As
Well, this is city council, because I mean, I'd like the help if I can temporarily, but thank you for the card.
You're great.
I'll talk to Jamie and Lane.
Yeah, and yeah.
Also in terms of that, there is a new German Village Commissioner. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so, well, All right, and we want to do it on the record or?
It's up to you. It's up to you, I guess. I mean, we can adjourn now.
We'll go ahead and adjourn now. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Second,
Second.
question on the motion?
Can't question it.
Question, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Let's go.
I gotta fill Jeff's old duty there, tell
There you
you,
go.
can't, but.